To get back at his childhood sweetheart, Zhou Qingye bullied me for 10 years. He would yank my hair and shove my head into a sink full of filthy water, yet, in the dead of night, he would also hold me in his arms, whispering "I love you" over and over. Later, his childhood sweetheart returned to the country. He set off fireworks for her all night long. My depression flared up amidst the shower of fireworks. She leapt from the high-rise, 3 months pregnant. When I opened my eyes again, I was back. In high school, the very beginning of our entanglement, I opened my eyes in the filthy, stinking restroom to see Zhou Qingye's face, twisted with malice, right in front of me. He was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, holding the smoldering stub of a cigarette in his hand. Ashtray. Ashtray is the nickname Zhou Qingye gave me because every time he finished a cigarette, he would stub out the butt in the palm of my hand. Over time, I ended up with a nickname like Ashtray. A long-ingrained muscle memory made me instinctively extend my hand, but the moment I reached out, I suddenly realized I had been reborn. The Zhou Qingye before me had a youthful face, a far cry from the ruthless and decisive king of hell he would become in the business world in my previous life. My outstretched hand changed course midair and fell back to my side amidst the swirling haze. Zhou Qingye's brows knitted tightly together, his expression caught between a smile and a sneer. "Liang Lui. Who do you think you are?" I curled my lip, steadied myself against the wall, and walked up to him. The next second, a sharp slap rang out. "Zhou Qingye, you disgust me." The blow was so hard it tore at the old scar on my palm, a searing pain, yet my heart swelled with a savage satisfaction. "I've wanted to do that for a long time." Zhou Qingye pressed his tongue against the inside of his cheek and let out a sharp tsk, a flicker of anger kindling in his eyes. "You've got some nerve." His expression darkened. As usual, he grabbed me by the hair, dragged me to the edge of the sink, and turned on the faucet. The water splashed up the filthy grime in the basin, releasing a nauseating stench. The nightmares that haunted me day and night were playing out all over again until the moment I died. I never understood why Zhou Qingye chose me to be his prey for amusement. He was a transfer student. Before that, our paths had never crossed. He transferred into my class halfway through the semester. He was tall and good-looking, so the teacher had him sit in the last row, and he always used the back door to come and go. I sat in the corner of the second row, introverted and rarely speaking to anyone. For a long time, even though we were in the same classroom, we had never actually seen each other, that is, until one evening when I was on cleaning duty in the classroom. When I finished cleaning and was about to leave, everyone else had already gone home. I was heading downstairs with a bag of trash when Zhou Qingye cornered me at the stairwell. He emerged from the shadows and walked towards me. I was startled, my heart began to race, and I tightened my grip on the trash bag, but he just walked up to me and smiled. "Liang, let me help you." I breathed a sigh of relief and was about to refuse, yet, without another word, he took the trash bag from my hands. Before I could even utter the words "thank you," an entire bag of trash was dumped over my head. Used tissues, fruit peels, plastic bottles, half-eaten food, all mixed with a foul stench, engulfing me in an instant. He clapped his hands together and gave a malicious grin. "Consider this my welcoming gift." After that, Zhou Qingye started bullying me. It got worse each time. The worst time, he held my head in the mop sink and nearly drowned me. Now, the past is repeating itself, but this time, I didn't give him the chance. As he grabbed my hair, I seized his in return. With a sharp tug, my head snapped back, my scalp screaming as if it were being torn out, but I still didn't let go. I gave him exactly what he gave me, and more importantly, I could endure far more than he could. Sure enough, his grip loosened for an instant. I seized the opportunity, yanking his hair hard and driving my knee into his stomach. In pain, he released me and clutched his belly. I grabbed the mop from the sink and slammed it into his head. Then, before he could react, I made a quick getaway outside the restroom. The dim, yellow light felt like warm sunshine. The tears I had held back for so long finally fell, too. As I approached the front door, I wiped away my tears and forced a smile onto my face. "I'm home." The house was pitch dark inside. I blinked, and as I turned to lock the door, I spoke softly. "Mom, Dad, I got picked on again today." The house was empty and silent, with no one to answer me. "If only you were still here." It felt like a cruel joke from fate. I was given a second chance at life, only to be reborn at the worst possible time. A year ago, I lost both my parents. The trauma left me with a severe psychological condition. After a full year in the hospital, my symptoms finally subsided enough for me to return to school. My personality underwent a drastic change after that. I became withdrawn and silent, shutting myself off from everyone. So when Zhou Qingye started bullying me, I chose to comply. I kept thinking, if I don't fight back this time, maybe he won't pick on me next time. But the truth is, being Submissive only emboldens the bully. Zhou Qingye tormented me for a full 10 years. This time, I won't be a coward. I turned on the light, took a hot shower, lay down in bed, and fell into a deep sleep. I slept incredibly soundly. When I opened my eyes again, it was already the next morning. I packed my bag and headed out. I ran into my neighbor in the elevator, the auntie who used to dote on me this time. Instead of looking down to avoid her like before, I greeted her warmly. She was taken aback for a moment, her eyes growing a little red. Come to my place for dinner after school. I'll make you corn and shrimp dumplings. I nodded. I once thought that after losing my parents, no one in this world would love me anymore, but now it seems I was completely wrong. You have to love yourself first before others can love you. This good mood lasted until I ran into Zhou Qingye on the way. A deep-seated physical instinct made me tremble uncontrollably at the sight of him. I could only tell myself over and over in my heart, don't be afraid. Zhou Qingye was tall, standing in front of me and casting a shadow. Liang Luoi. I looked up at him. He stood against the light, his expression unclear, yet the words he spoke remained sharp and venomous. Why don't you go die with your parents? The power of words to wound is no less than that of physical actions. He knew exactly where to twist the knife to cause the most pain. The physical symptoms of my depression have returned. It feels like an invisible hand is gripping my heart, sending waves of sharp pain through my chest and making it hard to breathe. Zhou Qingye enjoys watching the agony on my face, but this time, I let him down. I can imagine my face must be deathly pale, but that didn't stop me from clenching my teeth, staring into his eyes, and speaking with a calm, resolute voice. Zhou Qingye, my parents would never let me die. I will live well. A flicker of fragmented panic flashed in his cool, detached eyes. I let out a scornful laugh. So that's all he's got. I walked right past him and headed straight for school. 3, perhaps. Because my behavior last time was so out of character, Zhou Qingye left me alone for a while. I worked hard to change myself and fit in with the class. Gradually, I made a few friends. Then one day, after PE class, I was returning a racket to the equipment room. Just as I put it away, I heard a loud bang behind me. The door to the equipment room slammed shut. Zhou Qingye leaned casually against the doorframe. Liang Luoi, you've been doing quite well for yourself lately. It really pisses me off. I stood directly opposite him, watching him quietly. He was toying with a lighter in his hand when he suddenly lunged at me. I wasn't prepared. My back slammed hard against the wall, a sharp, piercing pain shooting through me. He pinned my shoulder with one arm, while his other hand grabbed both of my wrists and forced them high above my head. I was trapped, utterly immobilized within the forceful circle of his embrace. Dust kicked up into the air, swirling in the sunlight. Zhou Qingye was strikingly handsome. For those 10 years, countless girls threw themselves at him. He never refused them, sweeping one tender girl after another into his arms and swaggering right past me. Yet he would return alone at night, pinning me down and thrusting into me again and again. I could never figure out what was on his mind, but in that moment, it suddenly dawned on me. So, I finally asked him, Zhou Qingye, do you have feelings for me? I couldn't think of any other explanation when he heard my words. He shoved me away violently. My stomach slammed into the corner of the table, the pain so sharp my vision went dark. I crouched on the ground, clutching my stomach, waves of dizziness washing over me. Zhou Qingye walked to the doorway. I couldn't see his face, but his tone betrayed his panic and anger. Liang Luoi, you have no shame. Take a good look at what you are. How dare you think you're worthy of my affection? You stay here and think about what you've done. The door closed again, and everything fell silent. I stayed curled up on the floor for a long time, recovering. The equipment room was in a remote part of the school. With classes over for the day, no one would notice I was here, and no one would come looking for me. The light from under the door grew dimmer. I thought to myself, it must be nightfall. I sat quietly in the corner, knees hugged to my chest, waiting for someone to rescue me. I drifted into a fitful sleep, and in that hazy state between waking and dreaming, I saw my former self, Zhou Qingye, and I had a child together. He never knew Zhou Qingye was a madman. He would throw me into an ice-cold pool during my period, lock me in a closet when I was disobedient, and abandon me in a downpour in the countryside when I was sick. But he would also gently blow-dry my hair after I washed it, hold me at night and tell me he loved me over and over. He'd even run all over the city just to buy me a bowl of congee. I admit, I probably have Stockholm Syndrome. When I realized I was pregnant, my first thought was that maybe with this child, we could finally make a life together, forget everything from the past. That day, I bought groceries, made dinner, and put on my favorite chiffon dress. At noon, I called him and asked him to come home for dinner, as I had something to tell him. He was in a good mood that day. He gently agreed over the phone and told me not to overexert myself. I waited for him for a long time. From day into night, the food on the table had long gone Cold, the congealed oil forming a layer of white frost, the clock's hands pointed to midnight. He still hadn't arrived. Fireworks lit up the night sky outside the window, brilliant and beautiful. A news notification popped up on the phone automatically. Zhou Group President Zhou Qingye enjoys a sweet meal with his girlfriend. In the video, he had his arm around another girl. He looked at her with a gentle smile. While I was waiting for him, he was waiting for her. Even this fireworks display was a gift he prepared exclusively for her. I stood by the window, my hand resting on my belly, and watched for a long time. Then, amidst the sky full of fireworks, I leaped into the void. The white gauze dress was stained with blood. That was the last thing I saw in my past life. Now, the pain in my belly brings me back to that night, and to that child. If Zhou Qingye doesn't love me, then he must hate me. But I just can't figure out why he hates me. I don't remember how long I slept, or how long I was awake. It wasn't until the next day, during another class's PE lesson, the door to the equipment room was opened once again. In my dazed state, I could hear the murmur of voices, but after that, I blacked out completely. For when I came to again, I was in the hospital. My teacher let out a long sigh of relief when she saw I was awake. She patted my head and asked, "Are you still feeling unwell?" I shook my head. "The doctor said you're not seriously hurt," but the young female teacher turned my body to face her, her eyes meeting mine. "Liang Luoi, can you tell me how you got these injuries?" I was stunned for a moment, a lump forming in my throat. In my past life, I had never once thought of turning to a teacher for help, yet, in this life, it was my teacher who first noticed something was off about me. I had been stealing myself for a long time, the words right on the tip of my tongue, but I simply couldn't bring myself to say them. In the end, I could only shake my head. "Thank you, teacher. Please, just give me a little more time to think it over." She didn't press me, and instead, gently tucked the blanket around me. "Okay, but you have to promise me you won't get hurt again." I nodded. After school that afternoon, my classmates came to visit me at the hospital. Zhou Qingye wasn't there. My best friend and deskmate hugged me, crying tears of guilt. "I'm so sorry, Luo. I thought you'd gone home like before. If I'd realized sooner, you wouldn't have been locked in all night." Sobs. I comforted her for a long time before her sense of guilt began to ease. After the classmates left, the hospital room fell quiet once more. Gazing at the sunset outside the window, I suddenly let out a laugh. The tragedy of my past life was all Zhou Qingye's doing, but was I any better myself? I don't know how long I stood there staring, but when I finally snapped out of it, Zhou Qingye was already at the door. Who knows how long he'd been watching? The corner of his mouth twitched. "Liang Luoi, you really are hard to kill," as cold and cutting as ever. This time, I finally asked the question that had haunted me for 2 lifetimes. "Zhou Qingye, why do you hate me so much?" Zhou Qingye clenched his hand into a fist, his knuckles turning white, the bulging veins even visible. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice trembling. "Liang Luoi, how can someone who's done wrong still be allowed to live? A year ago, your parents died in a car accident. In that same crash, a woman also lost her life. That day was her son's birthday. She had gone out to pick up a cake, only to meet a senseless tragedy and die on the road. Liang Luoi, your father killed my mother. Shouldn't that debt be repaid by you?" Zhou Qingye's words hit me like raindrops pounding on my chest. I clutched the blanket tightly, my voice breaking. "Is this your reason for bullying me?" He reverted to his usual coldness. "Isn't that reason enough?" My tears fell in heavy drops. "But Zhou Qingye, the driver who hit that person that day wasn't my father at all." I had considered many possibilities. The one thing I never imagined was that Zhou Qingye's hatred stemmed from that car accident a year ago, the accident that took my parents from me. I find this rather laughable. The accident report for that car crash is crystal clear. The driver that day was a hired chauffeur my father called. I have no idea where you got your information to think my father was the one behind the wheel. All I know, Zhou Qingye, is that you are profoundly mistaken. Tears streamed down my face as I laughed. It was utterly absurd. So, from beginning to end, I never did anything wrong. Then what was the point of those 10 years? I seemed to have hit a nerve. He rushed to my hospital bed and grabbed me by the throat. "You're lying," she saw. Doubts swarmed my mind, and a suffocating feeling followed. I had no time to think. I struggled desperately and kicked him in the chest. Stung by the pain, he let go of me, clutching his chest as he stumbled back. Fresh air rushed into my lungs, and I broke into a violent coughing fit. He stood frozen in place, helplessly reaching out a hand, but just as quickly, he withdrew it. He stared at me with disgust. "Liang Luoi, I don't believe a word you say." I lifted my gaze to meet his, my voice breaking. "Zhou Qingye, you said you lost your mother in that car accident, but I lost both my mother and my father. So, which of us is worse off?" I tried to read something in his eyes, but there was nothing. He stared at me in stunned disbelief, then turned and fled. 5 After 3 days of rest in the hospital, I returned to school. Everyone says that school days are the best time of your life, but in my previous life, I was controlled by Zhou Qingye, with fear, panic, and helplessness my constant companions. This time, I want to truly and deeply experience the beauty of campus life. I stood at the classroom door, took a deep breath, and knocked. The classroom door swung open. Behind it, all my classmates were gathered together. Liang Lui. Welcome home. My jaw went slack, and I stood there stunned for several seconds. My nose stung fiercely, and my throat ached with a tight, painful swell. I lowered my head, blinked my eyes, and forced the tears back. Thank you, everyone. I'm so happy. It's been so long since I last heard the word home. Ever since my parents passed away, I've had no home, and now, they're telling me that this place is my home. The teacher called for everyone to return to their seats and began the lesson. I had just sat down when I pulled a carton of chocolate milk from the desk cubby. My deskmate smiled at me. This milk is amazing. Holding the milk carton, I felt a warm glow inside. My foundation wasn't bad. I just wasted a year to catch up with my classmates. I started studying day and night. I got up before dawn and didn't go to bed until midnight. It was exhausting, but also fulfilling. Zhou Qingye was absent for a very long time. I focused entirely on my studies and gradually caught up with the pace. That evening, I was walking back as usual. As I neared the building, a figure emerged from the darkness. Liang Lui. I turned to look. Lin Yin, dressed in a white dress, stood under the street lamp. Innocent and unworldly memories flooded my mind like a tidal wave, overwhelming and all-encompassing. Lin Yin, Zhou Qingye's childhood sweetheart. To be honest, our paths didn't cross much. Zhou Qingye kept her well protected when I was locked in that cramped, tiny house, stripped of my freedom. Zhou Qingye spent every last penny to send her abroad to study music. As I was thrown into the icy, bone-chilling pool, he held up his phone and gently wished her a happy new year. While I waited for him at the dinner table, pregnant, he set off fireworks for her all night long. I don't like her, nor do I remember her coming to see me at this time in my previous life. I suppose this is the butterfly effect. My rebirth was like a butterfly flapping its wings, altering the predetermined course. She walked towards me, stopped in front of me, and looked me up and down. After a long while, she let out a derisive snort. Is that all? I didn't say a word, just watched her quietly. My attitude provoked her, and she lashed out. You jinx who got your own parents killed. I've heard things 100 times worse than this. I didn't care and asked her if she needed something. She sneered. Liang Lui. I don't care what you said to Qingye or what tricks you're playing. He's mine. I suggest you drop any ideas you might have. Your father killed his mother. You'll never have a chance with him in this lifetime. I couldn't help but snort with laughter. They really are a match made in heaven. What are you laughing at? A scumbag like Zhou Qingye. No one's going to fight you for him. Furious and humiliated, she raised her hand to slap me. Crack, a sharp, crisp sound rang out. My slap was faster than hers. She covered her cheek, staring at me in disbelief. You dare hit me? I gave a slight nod. You think I'm just going to stand here and let you hit me? I grabbed her wrist and snarled. Get lost. Don't let me see you again. The next second, she suddenly burst into tears. Wah, I'll stay far away from Brother Qingye. Please don't hit me. At the same moment, I was shoved aside by a tremendous force. My wrist twisted with a sharp, bone-deep pain. The backpack on my shoulder was flung to the ground, and the test papers scattered everywhere, falling like snowflakes. Liang Lui, what are you doing? Zhou Qingye stepped in front of Lin Yin, glaring at me with fury in his eyes. I couldn't even be bothered to spare him a glance. Turning my back, I crouched down and slowly picked up my school bag and test papers. Are you even listening to me? Lin Yin tugged at his sleeve. Brother Qingye, she didn't mean it. Please don't be angry. He paid her no mind. Instead, he came up to me and stared at me stubbornly. Apologize, and I'll let it go. I stood up and looked at him with a beaming smile. Fuck your apology, you scumbag, and that bitch. Get the hell out of here. 6. I sprained my wrist. It swelled up quickly with a dull, throbbing pain. I had no choice but to turn around and head to the hospital. I just never expected to run into them again so soon. Right as I reached the hospital entrance, I bumped into Zhou Qingye and Lin Yin again. I pretended not to see them and walked straight through the hospital doors. I could feel a gaze fixed intently on my back. The doctor who saw me was the same resident who had handled my parents' car accident a year ago. He was now a full-fledged physician. The moment we saw each other, we recognized one another. Seeing a familiar face, I instantly relaxed and chatted with him a bit more. He prescribed the medication for me and reminded me to take good care of myself. I gave him a grateful smile and said, "Thank you." He waved his hand dismissively. "It's nothing. I'm about to finish my shift anyway, so let me give you a ride home." I was taken aback for a moment and missed my chance to decline. He walked me downstairs. I thanked him and was about to head upstairs when he suddenly grabbed my wrist and whispered in my ear, "Do you know him?" He subtly gestured toward a spot not far away. Zhou Qingye's figure was half hidden in the darkness. I nodded. He let out a sigh of relief, then stammered, "I just saw him with a girl." "That girl?" I looked at him, puzzled. "Technically, this is patient confidentiality, but I feel you need to know. The driver who caused the accident was that girl's father." I don't know how I made it upstairs and through the door. My hands and feet had gone completely cold. Zhou Qingye's words from that day crashed into my mind once more. She saw it. I finally understood that she referred to Lin Yin 1 minute before the car accident happened. My dad called me. His voice was trembling, yet he still told me gently, "Mom and Dad can't be with you anymore." My heart pounded with panic as I frantically asked them what was happening. Another unfamiliar voice rang out, "Die." Mom's sobs reached my ears. "Mom and Dad love you." Then came a tremendous crash. All sound fell into silence. Later, the police investigation results came out. The driver had argued with his daughter and, in a fit of rage, decided to take his anger out on society. My parents were innocent victims since the other party's daughter is a minor. All information is kept confidential at the time. I was so devastated that I didn't pursue the matter any further. Who would have thought the world could be so small? Lin Yin's father killed my parents and then pinned all the blame on my dad. What's even more absurd is Zhou Qingye. He treats his enemy's daughter like the moon, holding her in the palm of his hand. Ridiculous, pitiful, pathetic. 7 On the weekend holiday, I followed the address to Zhou Qingye's home. He lived in an ordinary residential complex because it was the weekend. There were a lot of people in the complex. I approached an elderly woman and asked her about Zhou Qingye. I wanted to know how Lin Yin managed it. Why did he believe every word she said so wholeheartedly? But the moment I stated my purpose, a look of wariness appeared on the old woman's face. "What do you want with Xiaoyi?" I put on a well-behaved smile and said, "I'm Zhou Qingye's classmate. He's always so quiet in class and never joins in group activities, so our teacher asked me to come and find out more." Her expression softened, and she motioned for me to sit down beside her. "Xiaoyi has had a hard life. His father died when he was young, and his mother raised him all by herself. He was a sensible and bright kid from the start, always did well in school, and greeted everyone with a warm smile whenever he saw them. Sadly, his mother passed away in a car accident a year ago, leaving Kano an orphan. After that, his personality changed completely. In the first few months after his mother's death, he shut himself in his room all day, refusing to see anyone. He's doing much better now." I remembered the question I had asked him before, so we were both pitiful in the same way. I pressed further. "Do you know Lin Yin, the pale, slender girl who was often with Zhou Qingye?" "Lin Yin." She closed her eyes and thought for a moment. "Now I remember, that girl seemed to be Xiaoye's classmate. After his mother passed away, she came to see him every single day. At first, Xiaoye ignored her, shutting her out, but he couldn't hold out against her persistence. Eventually, they grew closer and closer. A lot of people are saying that Ono and that girl are dating. I don't think so. Ono's a good kid. He wouldn't get into a relationship at his age. He's nice to her, sure, but it's not like they're close." She covered her mouth as she spoke. "Listen to me go on, young lady. Please don't go back and tell the teacher any of this. Ono is a good boy. He's just having a hard time accepting that his mother is gone. Please, the teacher mustn't give up on him." I had a pretty good idea of the situation now. I said goodbye to the old woman. "I guess Zhou Qingye is just like me. His mother's death hit him hard. He shut down completely, shutting out the world, refusing to see or hear anything." Lin Yin seized the opportunity. She stayed by his side, helped him heal, and spun a new tale. In that story, her father and Zhou Qingye's mother were the victims. My father is the perpetrator. Their shared experience made Zhou Qingye trust her even more. I sighed and turned to walk towards the entrance of the residential complex. I had only taken a few steps when a pair of icy hands grabbed my wrist. Zhou Qingye dragged me behind a large tree, pinning my back against the trunk so I couldn't move. A storm brewed in his eyes as he asked, "What are you doing here?" I just smiled, my gaze shifting to something behind him. He turned his head. Lin Yin stood there. "What are you doing?" He calmly averted his gaze. "It's none of your business." Lin Yin froze, her eyes instantly welling up. She trotted over. "Qingye, what's wrong?" Zhou Qingye stubbornly kept his eyes fixed on me. "Liang Luoi, what are you doing here?" Lin Yin's resentful gaze fell upon my face. I looked into her eyes and said softly, "Zhou Qingye, you once asked me, how can someone who has done wrong still be allowed to live?" I looked away from her and turned to him. "Now, I want to ask you the same thing. Why is the one who did wrong the one you're shielding?" A flicker of panic flashed in Lin Yin's eyes. Without a second thought, she rushed forward. "Brother Qingye, don't listen to her nonsense. My expression turned cold. Linine, what are you so afraid of? She avoided my gaze, her only thought being to get Zhou Qingye to leave. I broke free and looked at him. Zhou Qingye, the one who did wrong was never me, and certainly not my father. I pointed at Linine. It was her. I thought that after what happened last time, Linine wouldn't show her face around me again, but I underestimated just how thick skinned she could be. Over a month later, she appeared before me once more, this time with a group of local troublemakers in tow. If it were me before my rebirth, I probably would have been terrified, but now, I just find it laughable. Child's play. She had become gaunt, having lost a lot of weight, and was as skittish as a startled bird. I was surrounded by the whole group of them. She stood before me, her expression fierce, yet her eyes were full of fear. Liang Lui, this is all your fault. It's because of whatever you said to Qingye that he's treating me this way. I noticed with sharp eyes the many new bruises on her hands and arms. So that's how it is, but I felt no sympathy for her. I didn't want to waste any more words on her. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my wrist with a fierce grip. Liang Lui, I won't let you leave. You've ruined me like this, and you think you can just walk away unscathed? She glanced at the thugs surrounding her. What are you waiting for? Strip her clothes off. The leader hesitated slightly. Enin, didn't we agree to just scare her? Why are we getting serious now? She gritted her teeth in bitter resentment. You idiots, strip her clothes, take photos. Once we have leverage, she won't dare go to the police. Swayed by her words, they were about to come for me. I raised my phone. Oh really? I've already called the police. From both ends of the alley, two figures emerged simultaneously under the streetlight. The teacher stood below, holding a baseball bat. Liang, in the darkness. On the other side, Zhou Qingye stood there quietly. I broke free and walked toward the light. The teacher checked me over thoroughly and only relaxed after confirming I was okay. She took out her phone to call the police. I shook my head. For something this minor, even if I reported it to the police, it would only result in a verbal warning. Utterly useless. Linine and those punks had already scattered and fled. Even Zhou Qingye had vanished without a trace. For a long time after that, I never saw any of them again. I focused on my studies and ended up ranking third in my class by the end of the semester. I also scheduled an appointment with a therapist and committed to the process. She said my depression had improved significantly, and that if I kept at it, I would fully recover. After leaving the therapist's office, I bought a bouquet of flowers at a street corner and took the bus to the cemetery. This is the first time I've come to see them since Mom and Dad passed away. I used to think, if you can avoid something for a while, then avoid it. Now I realize, running away doesn't solve anything. Weeds have grown over the graves. I cleaned up the area and sat before the headstone, talking idly. I stayed until the sun began to set and the last bus was nearly due. I stood up and said my goodbyes at the cemetery gate. I ran into Zhou Qingye. He stood silhouetted against the setting sun, the sky ablaze with color, his sleeves billowing in the wind. I remained rooted to the spot as he began walking toward me, his steps measured and steady. Unlike those of a teenager, he stopped before me, his gaze inscrutably complex. Regret, relief, sorrow, love. I remained silent. He looked at me, tears welling up in his eyes. Liang Lui, I'm sorry. After 2 lifetimes, I finally heard his apology. Countless sleepless nights, I curled up in bed, blaming myself over and over again. I racked my brains, but I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong yet. If Zhou Qingye hated me, it must mean I was at fault. For 10 years, I lived in fear, in self-reflection, in a state of constant inner turmoil. In the end, I realized I hadn't done anything wrong. I turned sideways and walked past him. He gently took my hand. Liang Lui, did you ever love me? I paused and shook my head. No. He turned to look at me, his expression shattered. Not even for a second. I remember in my past life, when I found out I was pregnant, I laughed and cried, thinking I could finally build a life with him. Was that love? Did a decade of torment make me fall in love with him? I shook my head resolutely. Zhou Qingye, I never loved you. The dependence and obedience you felt were nothing but illusions brought on by Stockholm Syndrome. Love is happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. But with you, all I felt was fear, anxiety, and imprisonment. To be honest, the moment I felt most free was when I leapt from that high rise. I told him about my rebirth without the slightest hesitation, because I knew Zhou Qingye had been reborn as well. The man before me now was exactly the same as he was in his past life, ruthless, merciless, and decisive in action. He released me, his gaze fixed on my eyes. The corners of his eyes were tinged with red, a look of both resentment and despair. Even his voice, usually cold and arrogant, had grown hoarse. Okay, 9. I heard about Zhou Qingye again. He took his own life. He jumped from the 20th floor. Then I heard another piece of news. Linine had gone missing. They say she's been gone for a month. and no one knows where she went. The day after Zhou Qingye died, I received a package. Inside the delivery box was a black notebook. Zhou Qingye's diary. I curled up on the bed and opened the diary. I met an amazing girl. When she stood on stage playing the violin, she looked like an angel, glowing. I knew she was from another school, but I didn't know her name. Later, I went to her school's entrance, hoping to run into her, but I never saw her again. A girl wrote me a love letter. She said her name was Lenine and that she was my classmate. I have absolutely no memory of a classmate like that. More importantly, I don't like her. I just want to focus on my studies. I had always thought Zhou Qingye liked Lenine. It turns out, his heart belonged to someone else entirely. I kept reading. Lenine is always pestering me, and it's really annoying, but I heard she's like me. Her parents are divorced, and she lives with her mom. I feel a bit sorry for her. I saw her again. She was shopping at the mall with her parents. I heard her mom call her Yi. I asked around with a few friends and found out her name is Liang Luoyi. Her name is beautiful. I think I might like her a little. The diary fell from my hands with a soft thud onto the bed. It took me a long moment to collect myself before I finally turned to the next page. The following pages were all blank, the entries coming to an abrupt end. It wasn't until several months later that he started writing in the diary. Again, this time in a much more hurried and messy scrawl. My mother was in a car accident. I'm all alone now. The doctor says I'm sick, but I don't believe it. Lenine came to see me again, wanting to play some kind of redemption game. How pointless. I don't need her redemption. Her father was the one who killed my mom in that car accident. Honestly, I didn't want to believe it, but Lenine sounded so convincing. I desperately needed an outlet for my anger, so I turned on her. I dumped trash over her head. She was on the verge of tears. I wanted to hug her and say I'm sorry, but then I remembered my mom. Those who do wrong must be punished. I don't know if I'm punishing her or punishing myself. Every terrible thing I do to her, I end up doing to myself all over again. I'm going insane. She's my enemy. I can't afford to be soft. My heart clenched violently, and tears poured down my face like a floodgate had been opened. Unstoppable. He knew I was innocent, yet, to ease his own conscience, he destroyed everything I had. It was the first time she fought back against me. And to my surprise, I felt a flicker of joy, just as she said, I really am a piece of trash. I had a dream, a nightmare so vivid it was terrifying, but I think it wasn't a dream at all. It was our past life. No wonder. She must have dreamed it long ago. Right. For 10 years, she and I were entangled. In that decade, I loved her and hated her all at once. When I loved her, I would have plucked the moon from the sky to give to her. When I hated her, I tormented her over and over. As if only then would my heart find some relief. I sent Lenine abroad. I knew she had feelings for me, but I felt nothing for her. Many women were drawn to me, and I would deliberately put my arm around them and walk away in front of Liang Luoyi, hoping to see a flicker of jealousy. Yet each time, she just watched quietly, no tears, no outbursts. It infuriated me, so every night, I took it out on her in bed, tormenting her with all my might. Later, Lenine returned. I had promised Liang Luoyi I'd be home that evening, but Lenine said she had a secret to tell me, one about the car accident from years ago. I couldn't refuse. When I arrived, I realized she had lied. She begged me through her tears to stay with her for just one night, swearing she would disappear from my life forever after a night of peace in exchange for a lifetime of it. A fair trade. She wanted to see fireworks, so I had the whole city lit up for her, but I never imagined that Liang Luoyi would choose that very moment, amidst the shower of sparks, to leap from the building with such finality. By the time I arrived at the scene, her body was already covered with a white sheet. I stumbled toward her, wanting to hold her one last time, yet terrified of causing her any more pain. In that moment, I knew I was finished. Without her, I couldn't go on living. Later, the police told me she was pregnant. I hated myself to the core. Lenine showed up in front of me with her fake sympathy, but I had no energy left for her charade. I had her thrown out and cut off all her financial support. She still came looking for me, but when she realized I wouldn't budge, her true colors finally showed. It was only then that I learned the truth about the car accident. Consumed by rage, I stabbed her 10 times. Every single strike was fatal. I know I was terribly wrong. I just want to see Liang Luoyi one more time. I went to her grave and ended my own life there. Zhou Qingye's diary revealed the outcome of the previous life. After I died, they didn't survive either. Wonderful. I kept reading. Fate gave me a second chance at life, only to have me reborn when everything was already beyond saving. How cruel. Lenine was the one to blame, so I began to use those same methods on her. She couldn't hold out for long, soon breaking down in tears and begging for mercy. I remained unmoved. Lenine went to find Liang Luoyi, By the time I arrived, she was still unharmed. I knew she saw me, but she walked towards the light. She always belonged there, in the light. I kidnapped Linine in an abandoned building. I broke her fingers one by one. She cried, saying she knew she was wrong, begging me to let her go, but she never let me or Liang Luoi go. I broke Lin Yin's legs. I gouged out Lin Yin's eyes. She was so loud. I cut out her tongue. A wave of nausea rose in my throat, and I quickly flipped past these pages. Linine is dead. I buried her out in the wilderness. No one will ever find her. The diary ends here. I closed the diary, only to suddenly discover a slip of paper tucked into a hidden compartment on the first page. That must have been Zhou Qingye's final letter. Liang Luoi, I'm sorry. I think I finally understand the freedom you spoke of. I'm going to seek it out. 2. I don't want a next life. I wish for my soul to scatter into nothingness, using its very essence to pray for your peace in this life and all that follow. May you find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. May you never cross paths with me again. I burned the notebook and the notes. He will be forgotten and my future is just beginning. Story 2. I vanished for 3 years saving my childhood friend, then spent 30 more years by his side, watching him rise from a struggling youth to a renowned entrepreneur. On his deathbed, he confessed he'd always hated me. If you hadn't held that debt over my head and pressured me with business interests, why would I have left Ruoqing to marry someone with just a high school diploma? I've left everything to Ruoqing. Owing her family was my life's regret. This is the only way I could make amends. If I could turn back time, I'd rather be the one who got kidnapped that year. He admires Shin Ruoqing for graduating from a prestigious university, forgetting I was the top-ranked student back in our school days. I sacrificed my college entrance exam chance to save him. A lifelong regret I'll never shake. He also forgets it was his own decision to call off the wedding after my return, vowing to devote himself solely to me. He conveniently forgot how my massive dowry saved the Zhou family from bankruptcy when they were on the brink of collapse. With an impassive face, I pulled out his oxygen tube. When I opened my eyes again, I'd traveled back to our college entrance exam day, the moment kidnappers dragged him into their car. This time, I didn't look back. I was determined to live for myself. When I saw Shin Ruoqing and Zhou Yi entering that secluded park before the college entrance exams again, my face remained calm, but a storm was raging inside me. I'd actually been reborn on the very day of the national college entrance exams in my past life. I'd been so nervous before the exams that I went to the park to calm my nerves and face the tests properly. Little did I know I'd accidentally witness a kidnapping when danger struck. Shin Ruoqing immediately wanted to abandon Zhou Yi to save herself, but Zhou Yi and I grew up together. I couldn't just stand by and watch him get kidnapped, so I went to rescue him. Zhou Yi used me to escape, but I ended up being dragged into that van instead. This time around, I didn't hesitate to turn around and head straight back to the school gates. It took me a lifetime to understand how kindness can breed resentment. Since Zhou Yi thinks I'm holding favors over his head, I'll stay out of their destiny. In my past life, saving him made me miss the college entrance exam, leaving me with just a high school diploma forever. Sitting in the exam hall this time, tears welled up as I gripped my pen to answer the questions. Zhou Ye's disdainful gaze still burns in my memory. Every cruel word he spoke etched painfully in my mind. Thankfully, fate has been kind to me this time. I'll make up for every regret from my past life. Zhou Yi and I were assigned the same exam hall, but his seat remained conspicuously empty midway through the exam. Frantic sobbing erupted outside the classroom. "Professor, I swear it was an emergency. That made me late. Please let me in." That voice, unmistakably Shin Ruoqing's. In our past lives, my sudden appearance distracted the kidnappers, allowing Shin Ruoqing to escape. Without me in this lifetime, Shin Ruoqing managed to escape, though it seems she lost some precious time. She missed the first college entrance exam. I answered every question with meticulous care, only exhaling a long-held breath of tension when finally stepping out of the examination hall. In my past life, Zhou Yi looked down on my lack of education. Even as the company's madam, he never once took me to any formal event. With just a high school diploma, you wouldn't even understand the conversations among people around me. Most have graduate degrees at minimum. The man handles outside affairs while the woman manages the home. Your greatest contribution is keeping dinner ready. Remembering this, I instinctively quickened my steps homeward. Looks like the tables are turning in this lifetime too, just as I expected. My parents rushed me to the police station the moment I got home. My parents and Uncle Zhou's family have been close friends for decades, always helping each other out. Now that Zhou Yi is missing, my parents wouldn't dream of sitting this one out. "Linny, did you know Zhou Yi has gone missing? He didn't show up for the college entrance exam today, did he? Where on earth could this kid have gone? He was perfectly fine just yesterday." Aunt Sun was so worried she called the police. "Do you think Zhou Yi ran away because the academic pressure got too much for him. My father glanced at me through the rearview mirror while driving. Xiaoyi, you're closest to him. If you know anything, you must tell us adults immediately. Seeing the anxiety on my parents' faces, I couldn't help but tear up. When Zhou Yi went missing, Mom and Dad were beside themselves with worry. In my past life, I disappeared for 3 whole years. When I returned, they'd aged a decade. Those once vigorous parents had gone completely gray. That reckless decision of mine kept them in constant dread, robbing them of sleep night after night. Seeing me cry, my mom shot my dad a glare first. Why are you being so harsh? You scared Xiaoyi. My dad immediately softened his tone. Don't be mad at daddy, sweetheart. I was just too worried, I murmured in response, wiped away my tears, and leaned against my mom's shoulder. When we arrived, Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun were so frantic their eyes were bloodshot. Surprisingly, Shen Ruoqing was there too. The officer was taking her statement. Miss Shen, surveillance shows you went to the park with Zhou Yi. With the college entrance exams coming up, what were you doing there? As an eyewitness, you need to stop crying and focus. Try to recall what those kidnappers actually looked like. Shen Ruoqing's lips parted slightly, but she stammered helplessly without managing to utter a single word. Aunt Sun was beside herself with anxiety. Think carefully, child, whether we can find my Zhou Yi again now depends entirely on you. And you're absolutely sure you didn't catch the kidnapper's license plate number? Everyone kept pressing for answers, but Shen Ruoqing suddenly burst into tears. Can't you all just stop pressuring me? Zhou Yi was the one who told me to go to that park. I had no idea what he was planning. I was so terrified at the time, I couldn't even remember their faces. If you keep pushing me, I'll lose my mind. The officers exchanged glances. Their faces filled with helplessness. The only witness remained silent. And Aunt Sun was so desperate she knelt before the police. My son, please, officers, you must help find my son. The officer sighed. We've checked all nearby surveillance footage. Those criminals are too cunning. They switched vehicles and used fake license plates along the way. Rest assured, we'll do everything in our power to find them. What's strange is that if this were a kidnapping, the perpetrators would have demanded ransom by now. Why the complete silence? I stood by silently, though the truth was already clear to me. Of course there'd be no contact. The kidnappers had grabbed the wrong person from the very beginning. Absurd as it sounds, the kidnappers had mistaken their target. The real mark was apparently another rich heir. Somehow, they'd confused Zhou Yi for their intended victim. When the ransom fell through, the kidnappers simply sold their hostage instead. But I won't help him either. Only in my dying moments did I learn Zhou Yi had seen the kidnapper's face, yet he kept it secret for 3 whole years, afraid my return would ruin his relationship with Shen Ruoqing. Zhou Yi never intended to save me from the very beginning. After being taken away in my past life, I was brought deep into the mountains. The kidnappers tried to sell me as a bride, auctioning me off openly in those hills. In the end, someone bought me for 100,000 yuan. Had I not fought with my life on the line, I'd have been forced to marry that mentally challenged man in his 30s that very night. Even after escaping, I left half my life behind there. Zhou Yi has delicate, fair skin. Anyone would find them appealing, regardless of gender. 3. Zhou Yi went completely off the radar for over 10 days. Uncle Zhou pulled out all the stops to search for her, while Aunt Sun was crying her eyes out every day. My mother kept sighing at home too. No way. Xiaoyi, old Lin, let's check the park again. We might just find some clues. Aunt Sun's nearly cried herself blind. It just breaks my heart seeing the poor couple like this. I went to the scene with my parents. They searched every corner meticulously, afraid of missing the slightest clue. I pretended to help with the search, but ended up finding nothing. Worried the stress might affect their health, I took them out for a meal. But unexpectedly, I heard Shen Ruoqing's voice. Oh my god. You have no idea how terrifying it was. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see those 2 kidnappers' faces. Ugh, I should have never gone to that park in the first place. Because of this whole mess, I even missed an important exam. My parents froze for a second, then without a word, my mom slammed her chopsticks on the table. What's wrong with you? We asked you 1,000 times at the police station, but you kept silent. Didn't you claim you never saw them at all? Shen Ruoqing froze. I never imagined the world could be this small. Let's go, we're heading to the police station. Her parents immediately dragged her into the car, then promptly notified Uncle Zhou's family. The police officers were visibly furious when they heard about the incident. The 2 criminals wore masks and hats the whole time. Their faces weren't captured on camera at all. How did you see them? Shen Ruoqing sobbed. I accidentally pulled off his hat and mask while struggling. I was just too scared to speak up, and I only remembered it these past couple days. The police quickly created a sketch based on Shen Ruoqing's description. 3 days Later, my aunt rushed to my house excitedly saying, "The police have identified the suspect using the sketch. They've already located Zhou Yi." I was stunned. I hadn't expected Zhou Yi to be found this quickly, but just like Shinruoching, Zhou Yi also chose to withhold information despite knowing crucial leads. These two are a match made in heaven. They totally deserve each other, for the cops rushed to the rescue overnight. 3 days later, Zhou Yi was brought back by ambulance. His body was covered in injuries, his shin bone snapped clean through with white bone protruding, and his right hand had been severed clean off. His lower body was festering and bleeding, reportedly requiring consultation with a proctology specialist. Aunt's son fainted on the spot upon seeing the condition. Doctors worked for 3 hours before finally wheeling him out of the operating room. Zhou Yi remained unconscious for a full day before waking up, after which his parents immediately dragged me to visit him. We had just reached the ward door when we heard his terrified screams. "No, don't come any closer, don't hit me, stay away from me, get back, don't touch me." When we entered, we saw Zhou Yi curled up in the corner clutching a pillow. The 4-tube had long since fallen from his hand, his pupils dilated in terror, sweat pouring down his face. He kept mumbling, "Don't hit me, go away." Not just Uncle Zhou's family, even my own father had to leave the room with reddened eyes. The doctor said Zhou Yi had been tortured after the kidnapping and was now in a state of extreme psychological hypersensitivity. It'll probably take some time to fully recover. He was admitted to the hospital. After a week of attentive care from everyone, his condition gradually improved, but his right leg had suffered a comminuted fracture, and treatment was delayed too long. Even if treated now, he'll end up with a permanent limp. Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun took turns caring for him until they were completely exhausted. Left with no choice, my mother sent me to take over for half a day. This time at least, Zhou Yi remained stable. I glanced at him and placed the food I'd brought on the bedside table. Aunt Sun's blood pressure is high today. She couldn't make it. You'll have to make do with this. Seeing I wasn't going to help, he opened the container himself and struggled to eat with the spoon in his left hand. But as he ate, his eyes suddenly reddened. "Linny, do you think my life is over?" I said expressionlessly. "Of course not. Wasn't this your dying wish in your past life? You'd rather get kidnapped than have anything to do with me again." He looked at his leg with a bitter smile. "My parents still try to hide the truth from me, saying my leg will heal soon, but those bastards smashed it to pieces with rocks. I know it'll never recover. I missed the college entrance exams, and they chopped off my right hand," holding up his stump with a wry laugh. "Guess I qualify as disabled now, don't I? And this?" He glanced at the colostomy bag attached to his body. I fell silent, unwilling to offer any emotional comfort. Just as I was about to leave, he suddenly spoke up hesitantly. "How's Ruoqing?" Was she terrified? Seeing the concern in Zhou Yi's eyes, I suddenly felt a vengeful impulse. I enunciated each word deliberately. "Nothing much. Shen Ruoqing went on a trip with someone else." Zhou Yi froze momentarily, a fleeting look of disappointment and loneliness crossing his face, but soon he mustered a brave smile again. "Probably went out to clear her mind after the scare. Some girl time would do her good." I acknowledged with a sound and left. He got what he wished for in this life, though whether it'll match his past life fantasies remains to be seen. If I remember correctly, Shen Ruoqing seemed to have gone out with some boys. 5. Zhou Yi had been hospitalized for quite a long time. Occasionally, I'd send my parents over to deliver meals to him, but this time when I visited, Zhou Yi, who'd been listless for ages, was actually grooming himself in front of the mirror. "You're here." His eyes sparkled as they met mine, only to dim the moment our gazes locked. "Oh, Linny, it's you." Ruoqing promised to visit me today. I murmured an acknowledgement and sat down as usual, waiting for Zhou Yi to finish his meal. Halfway through the meal, Shen Ruoqing arrived, but she was accompanied by another guy. Zhou Yi's smile froze on his face. "Ruoqing, you're back from your trip. Is this your little brother?" A flicker of disdain crossed Shen Ruoqing's eyes before she hooked her arm through the boy's elbow. "Let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend." I arched an eyebrow at Zhou Yi, catching the unmistakable shattering in his gaze. Shen Ruoqing sure knows how to latch onto rich heirs in record time. The moment Zhou Yi got into trouble, she immediately jumped ship to someone else. "Be boyfriend." Shen Ruoqing nodded eagerly, already scrambling to distance herself from Zhou Yi. "The reason we went to the park that day was because you wanted to ask me about the concepts you didn't understand. You got kidnapped, but I ended up missing an exam because of it." Zhou Yi, "Guess that makes us even, doesn't it?" Zhou Yi stared blankly at the person before him, his face a mask of disbelief. "Ruoqing, didn't we already?" Shen Ruoqing's eyes flashed with anger. "Don't you dare spread nonsense. A girl's reputation means everything. My mother already scolded me harshly for missing one exam. Do you Really want to ruin my entire life. With that, Shen Ruoqing grabbed the boy's hand and stormed off without looking back. Zhou Yi stood frozen, watching her retreating figure as tears plopped onto the bedsheet. I took a quick glance. In our past life together spanning decades, I'd never witnessed such a precious moment. How could Ruoqing be like this? I had no heart to watch him weep, so I decided to head home immediately. After some thought, I decided to twist the knife a little more. The doctor said your leg might have fully recovered if you'd been brought in 2 days earlier. Pity Shen Ruoqing was too terrified. She saw the kidnapper's face but kept silent, delaying the rescue. There's one thing I didn't mention though, that's the rich kid Shen Ruoqing latched onto seems to be the actual target the kidnappers were after. 6. When photos of Zhou Yi surfaced on the school forum, colostomy bag dangling, leg in a cast, arm ending abruptly where his hand should be, I realized I'd still underestimated Shen Ruoqing. She went to extreme lengths to keep Zhou Yi from pestering her. Zhou Yi, once the school's golden boy, instantly became an object of pity mixed with disdain. Ugh, sorry, but colostomy bags are seriously disgusting. A guy like this will never find a girlfriend, he'd just be a burden. I watched Zhou Yi get betrayed by the woman he'd been pining for in his past life, yet felt no satisfaction from the revenge. My previous life was utterly wasted. Zhou Yi's current misery doesn't even come close to the pain I endured. I casually forwarded the forum post to Zhou Yi. Soon, Shen Ruoqing found herself ostracized by the entire school. Everyone should stay away from her. Who knows when she might betray you? You can never be friends with someone like that. The way she turns on people is terrifying. I saw it with my own eyes. She insisted on going to the park before the exam. Now that something's happened, she just walks away without a care, and already has someone new lined up. What a shame for Zhou Yi, that good-looking, academically gifted heir with everything going for him. What's he supposed to do now? Tell me about it. Shen Ruoqing really ruined him good. Shen Ruoqing used to coast through school on her pretty face and decent grades, always the popular one. Now she's just the rotten apple that spoiled the bunch. Even after graduation, their infamy will live on for ages. Gossip spreads like wildfire in small towns like ours. Wherever she goes now, she's met with a chorus of curses. I'm really curious about who started these rumors, but who would have thought the investigation would ultimately point to Zhou Yi? Honestly, Zhou Yi and Shen Ruoqing are two peas in a pod. They're equally matched, a perfect pair in their own twisted way. 7. Several days have passed since the college entrance exams ended. Lately my parents have been fussing over Zhou Yi's situation, constantly running to the hospital. This time when they were about to leave, I stopped them with a dark expression. Have you forgotten something important? Tell me honestly, is Zhou Yi your real child, or am I? My parents exchanged glances, and Dad even put down his lunchbox to slip me a bank card. Oh sweetheart, we know we've been neglecting you lately, but we couldn't just stand by when such a big thing happened next door. Here's my card, you've worked so hard in high school, go buy yourself something nice. Okay. I pocketed the card and plopped down on the sofa, so concerned about him. I see you're not interested in hearing my college entrance exam results anymore. I munched on the fruit with a smile, watching from the corner of my eye as my parents exchanged a glance before rushing over. Our minds must be fried. How could we forget something this important? Zhou Yi, what's your score? You've already checked it, right? My brilliant daughter would never score low. Come on now. What's the actual number? I glanced at them before turning my gaze away. After much coaxing from my parents, I finally gave in and told them, 709. My parents cheered and embraced each other. Mom kissed my cheek, crying tears of joy. Incredible, all those 3 years of hard work paid off. Overjoyed, Mom agreed to buy me an apartment near campus. I was in such high spirits that I actually accompanied my mom to the hospital. For once the tables have turned. Now I'm the one with the fancy degree. But just as I reached the ward entrance, I spotted Shen Ruoqing standing inside. She was sobbing. Zhou Yi, please help clear my name. I'll be with you if that's what it takes. That's not how it happened at all. I'm getting torn apart online. I swear I'll take care of you. Just debunk these rumors already. Those lunatics splashed paint on my doorstep telling me to die. I can't take this anymore. I raised an eyebrow. Looks like the rich kid dumped Shen Ruoqing to save his own reputation. Soon after, Zhou Yi posted a cozy couple photo as damage control. The next day, Zhou Yi was discharged from the hospital and went home. As we stepped out, we happened to see Shen Ruoqing pushing Zhou Yi in his wheelchair. Though Zhou Yi's health was poor, a smile had returned to his face. He greeted us warmly. Auntie, Linny, this is my girlfriend Ruoqing. He instinctively raised his right hand to reach for Ruoqing's. As the bare arm rose, Shen Ruoqing standing behind him couldn't hide the disgust on her face. After they entered, my mother couldn't help muttering, why did that girl come back with them? If she hadn't kept silent back then, Zhou Yi wouldn't have Ended up like this. Aunt Sun's face clouded with worry, all her unspoken words dissolving into a heavy sigh. I tugged at my mom's sleeve. They're made for each other. Mom, this is a life-changing decision for them. Best not to meddle. Those two deserve to be stuck together forever. Over the next 2 days, I kept getting calls from Tsinghua University. All my past regrets were finally resolved, and I was overjoyed beyond words. While choosing universities, I was simultaneously planning my graduation trip. Just as I received another call from Peking University that day, the doorbell rang. Zhou Yi, come on in. I glanced back and saw Zhou Yi sitting alone by the entrance. After hanging up, Zhou Yi finally asked in confusion, what did Sherry mean just now? Something about a university. My parents exchanged glances. Zhou Yi used to be a top student with both academic excellence and moral integrity, but this incident made him miss the college entrance exam. They didn't have the heart to rub salt in Zhou Yi's wounds, but I just came out with it. Peking University's trying to poach me. Zhou Yi froze for a second. Peking University. I nodded, watching a fleeting shadow of loneliness cross Zhou Yi's face before it was quickly replaced by joy. I asked flatly, what are you doing at my place? Zhou Yi seemed eager to enter, but the doorstep blocked his wheelchair. After struggling briefly with a frown, he pulled out a bag of wedding candies from his pocket. He instinctively reached out with his right hand, then withdrew it and handed it to us with his left. Ruoqing and I are getting engaged, my parents said. Since you've taken such good care of me recently, you absolutely must attend our engagement banquet. My parents agreed, and Zhou Yi turned his gaze to me. Linny, you can't bail on us when the time comes. My gaze fell on the suitcase in the corner. Sorry, I've got graduation trip plans. Zhou Yi froze mid-sentence, then turned towards Shen Ruoqing standing at the doorway. He turned back and waved at us. Ruoqing's here to take me home. See you later, Linny. Have a great trip. I didn't say anything more, just kept working on my travel plans and packing. My parents insisted on seeing Zhou Yi home safely, and came back sighing heavily. Ah, such a fine young man has ended up like this. The real question is, can we really trust that Shen Ruoqing kid? I gave my parents a resigned look. Mom, Dad, let's not meddle in other people's business. In my past life, Zhou Yi looked down on me because I didn't have a good education. But this time, Shen Ruoqing only got into a mediocre college while I made it to Tsinghua/Peking University. His obsession with academic qualifications suddenly vanished. This clearly shows Zhou Yi's genuine love for Shen Ruoqing. Since it's true love, let them be happy together. The question remains whether Shen Ruoqing can truly care for him for life as he imagines. 9. I had my travel plans all set for Xinjiang, while Zhou Yi was preparing for his engagement. What should have been a joyous occasion turned sour when Aunt Sun started showing up at our place in tears every few days. She'd break down completely whenever she saw me. Linny was such a wonderful girl, but that blind fool Zhou Yi of mine insists on marrying no one but Shen Ruoqing in this lifetime. I gave an awkward chuckle. Auntie, Zhou Yi and Shen Ruoqing are deeply in love. Isn't this the perfect happy ending we all wanted? You'd never guess how outrageous their demands were until you asked. The bride price Shen Ruoqing's family demanded wasn't cash. They wanted shares in the Shen family business. Mrs. Shen retorted shamelessly, your son will be disabled for life, living with a colostomy bag. Who else would take him except my daughter? Aunt Sun heaved a sigh. She demanded 5% of the shares right off the bat, saying this was just the beginning. She'd want more after marriage and kids. My blunt mother cut straight to the point. Is Shen Ruoqing really the only option? If it weren't for her back then, I've talked to old Zhou about it. But Zhou Yi protested by refusing to take his medication. He's our only child. How could we bear to push him? I lowered my eyes without a word. I've witnessed Zhou Yi's determination in my past life. Now that the opportunity's finally here, wild horses couldn't drag him back. A week later, I was preparing to leave for Xinjiang. In my previous life, Zhou Yi proposed to me right after I escaped those mountains. Knowing each other's families inside out, we tied the knot in a flash. After finally regaining my health post-marriage, I found myself trapped in that toxic relationship. I've never truly experienced the vibrant colors of this world. I'm buzzing with excitement and anticipation. The day before departure, Zhou Yi unexpectedly texted me again. Come out for a sec. Frowning, I opened the door to find him standing there with a full bag of stuff. Though we'd been childhood friends, even he must have noticed the subtle shift in our relationship lately. He handed me the bag with visible awkwardness. Your parents mentioned you're going to Xinjiang. I've never been there, probably never will. I cut him off, not wanting to hear his melancholic rambling. Get to the point. Zhou Yi opened the bag. It's not entirely safe for a girl to travel alone that far. I did some research and packed some essentials you might need. Mosquito repellent, a sun umbrella, sunglasses, and since you get carsick, I got several brands of motion sickness patches and meds, plus, he handed the items to me. Take them. I gazed at him coolly without extending my hand. Zhou Yi, is it appropriate for someone about to get engaged to be giving me such earnest instructions? My intention was to refuse, yet I couldn't understand why he misinterpreted it unexpectedly. A faint smile bloomed in Zhou Yi's eyes. Xiaoyi, I've known how you felt about me since we were kids, but you're a Peking University scholar now. I'm not good enough for you, not with this colostomy bag. We were never meant to be. He forced a bitter smile, tucking the medical pouch deeper into his clothes. Those words made me physically sick. Zhou Yi, I'm telling you to keep your distance. I don't need any of this. Take this stuff back. If there's a next time, I'll repeat every word you've said to Shinruoqing verbatim. With that, I slammed the door shut. Waves of nausea washed over me. How did I never notice Zhou Yi was such a basic narcissist in my past life? 10. I departed on schedule and boarded the flight to Xinjiang. All my gloom instantly vanished when I finally set foot on the grassland I'd been dreaming about. Xinjiang's vastness brought me together with fellow solo travelers along the way. Everyone gradually gathered together, and to our surprise, we ended up with a group of over 10 people. With so many people around, my initially worried parents felt much more at ease from their conversations. I also learned the news that Zhou Yi and Shinruoqing had successfully gotten engaged. I spent over a month traveling before finally returning home just before school started. That's when I first found out Shinruoqing's university was in the same city as mine. My parents personally took me to school a few days before the semester started. Aunt Sun even came by our place and had a good cry before we left. Ruoqing's leaving for college soon, and Zhou Yi still hasn't fully recovered. Her departure will probably hit him even harder. Linny, you both attend the same school. What's Ruoqing usually like as a person? I'm just worried that. I understood Aunt Sun's concerns perfectly well, but I wasn't about to be labeled a troublemaker again. I said with a smile, Auntie, Ruoqing is really kind. The moment we stepped onto Peking University's campus, my parents were even more excited than I was. Thanks to my daughter, I got to visit Peking University in my lifetime. Watching their joyful expressions, I pretended to be annoyed but felt utterly content inside. My parents waved at me reluctantly as I was leaving. After a moment's hesitation, I couldn't help but speak up. Dad, remember to remind Uncle Zhou to keep a closer eye on his business. If my memory serves me right, he'll face bankruptcy before long. In my past life, Zhou Yi only married me for the hefty dowry my parents gave me to cover his family's financial losses. I wanted revenge on Zhou Yi, but Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun had always treated me well. Having such a wretched son was their misfortune. All I could do was drop subtle hints. Whether they can avoid it depends entirely on themselves. 11. College life turned out to be far more vibrant than I'd imagined, though the academic workload was equally demanding. After finishing my studies, I'd often stroll around the neighborhood with my roommates on summer evenings, but as we walked, I unexpectedly came face to face with Zhou Yi. The cast had been removed from his leg, but though the limb was saved, he now walked with a severe limp. Despite the sweltering summer heat, he wore long sleeves, keeping his right arm hidden beneath the fabric. What are you doing here? He stared at me for a long moment, his throat working silently before he finally spoke. I was just passing by. My roommate asked curiously, is this your friend? Do you need me to help you ask for leave? No need. I glanced coolly at Zhou Yi. He's just my neighbor. If there's nothing else, I'm going to class. Zhou Yi and I brushed past each other. He seemed to want to say something several times but ultimately remained silent. Your neighbor is quite handsome, but it's a shame he's not in the best health. I shot my roommate an amused look. They'd been engaged for ages. We horsed around all the way to class, only learning the truth days later during a video call with my parents. Just as I'd suspected, Zhou Yi came to North City specifically to see Shinruoqing. Zhou Yi has been walking around like a ghost since he returned. Aunt Sun is worried sick. After persistent questioning, I finally learned that when Zhou Yi arrived at school, Shinruoqing outright denied their relationship, even claiming he was her cousin. I raised an eyebrow. So that's how it was. No wonder Zhou Yi seemed off when we ran into each other that day. The person he'd yearned for his whole life was finally with him, yet reality didn't quite match his expectations. I warned my mom, just listen when it comes to Zhou Yi's matters. Never meddle in other people's family affairs. I've learned my lesson the hard way in the past. Now I just want to keep my distance from Zhou Yi and live my own life. But 2 weeks later, while shopping with my roommate, I unexpectedly ran into Shinruoqing of all people. A guy stood beside her, his arm wrapped intimately around her waist. The same rich kid from before. 12. Shinruoqing froze momentarily before striding toward me with a frosty expression. Linny, surely you're not petty enough to go tattling to the Zhous about this. If I'm not mistaken, Uncle Zhou paid for both your tuition and living expenses. How could you betray his kindness like this? Shen Ruoqing let out a cold laugh, her face contorted with bitterness. I made it clear I didn't want to be with him, yet he forced my hand by spreading malicious rumors. Even if I cuckolded him, he totally deserved it. I had no rebuttal to that, but out of respect for our family's bond, I still gave a mild warning. Whatever's between you and Zhou Yi is none of my business. Just don't drag Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun into it. With that, I left. Shen Ruoqing was right. Zhou Yi brought all this upon himself the moment summer vacation started. My parents rushed over to take me home, but just as the car came to a stop at our doorstep, I heard loud shouting from the Zhou family next door. Have you no conscience? My daughter's still in school, and your son actually raped her. Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun frantically tried to explain. Both kids are already engaged. While the pregnancy is certainly premature, calling it rape is completely unfounded. If Ruoqing chooses to keep the baby, our family will cover all the expenses. I stared at my mother in shock as she pulled me inside with an unreadable expression. Shen Ruoqing's pregnant, and her mother's making a scene about it. I'm pregnant. Is this child really Zhou Ye's? Mrs. Shen's voice was so loud I could hear every word clearly from the window. My daughter's at the prime of her career development. Why should she bear your family's child? Humph. It's easy for you parents from the grooms side to talk without feeling the pinch. Aunt Sun spoke meekly. We'll defer to your decision on how to resolve this, Mrs. Shen presented two options. You can choose to keep the baby, but on the day of birth, regardless of gender, you must give us 2 villas plus 10 million yuan. Don't worry, everything will be jointly under the child's and my daughter's names. My daughter isn't trying to take advantage of your family. Alternatively, terminate the pregnancy, but your family must compensate my daughter with 10 million yuan, otherwise, I'll make sure your son's reputation is ruined. There was no response from the other side. Soon I saw Mrs. Shen walking away with Shen Ruoqing, both wearing cold smiles. My mother sighed deeply. 10 million, what family keeps that much liquid cash? Zhou Yi was wrong to get her pregnant before marriage, but this amount is excessive. I stayed silent. Nobody's even sure whose child this is. 13 Heard Uncle Zhou's family finally caved in the end. They agreed to transfer substantial assets after the baby's birth, and Shen Ruoqing immediately took a leave of absence from school. The couple agreed to get legally married once they reached the required age. In just a few months, Uncle Zhou's once straight back gradually became hunched. Aunt Sun used to love going jewelry shopping with my mom the most, but I heard she sold quite a few of her prized pieces recently. I returned to school right after summer break ended. I've decided to pursue postgraduate studies this year and started preparing early. Time flies. While I was hitting the library every day at school, Zhou Ye's baby was born. My mom immediately sent me photos of the newborn. Despite our past conflicts, the baby is absolutely adorable. I sent back a meme, but the memory of catching Shen Ruoqing on a date with someone else resurfaced in my mind. My parents said they missed me and asked me to find time to visit them. I made time for a trip home, just in time for Zhou Ye's son's month celebration. The whole family was holding the baby, yet no one seemed genuinely happy. Only Mrs. Shen and Shen Ruoqing were grinning from ear to ear, bragging to everyone about how the kid had earned them tens of millions. My mom gave a hefty wedding gift, and after the meal, I was ready to head back. I thought Zhou Yi and Shen Ruoqing's story was finally settled for good, but unexpectedly, the bankruptcy crisis from their past life came knocking again. The Zhou family's company faced serious financial troubles due to a broken capital chain. My parents rushed over with their bank card to help immediately. Uncle Zhou's eyes welled up with tears. Old Lin, thank you. My parents exchanged pained looks. This money only patches up the immediate crisis. It's just a band-aid solution, not a real fix. Zhou Yi, who had been sitting dejectedly in the corner, looked up at Shen Ruoqing. Ruoqing, could you lend us 10 million for emergency funds? We'll pay you back as soon as the company gets back on its feet. Shen Ruoqing sprang to her feet with a shriek. Why should I? The child burst into terrified wails, but she kept ranting without a second thought. What does your family's bankruptcy have to do with me? The money you gave me is mine now, and what good are those 5% company shares if the business goes under? This was a marriage scam. You'll have to cash out those shares for me too. My parents stared in stunned silence, while Uncle Zhou and Aunt Sun were rendered speechless. Zhou Ye's face flushed crimson with rage before he weakly waved his hand in defeat. I left with my parents first, but Zhou Yi followed and called out to me. What's up? Zhou Yi pressed his lips together before finally saying, want to take a walk with me? Without waiting for my reply, he started walking ahead. I frowned and followed him as he led the way to the small square we used to frequent. Your guests haven't even left yet. Isn't it inappropriate for you to sneak out? Zhou Yi kept silent. staring down at his crippled leg. Just as I lost patience and turned to leave, he finally spoke. "What's the big deal? That child isn't even mine." I froze in my tracks, so he already knew. 14. There was only that one time with her, and the timeline doesn't match at all. Shinra watching must think I'm an idiot. "So you're certain it's not your child just based on this?" Zhou Yi let out a bitter laugh. "I took a paternity test. After taking so much money from my family, she goes sleeping around and then tries to pin this mess on me. And now she wants 10 million plus 2 villas. Ha, Shinra watching has really changed." I stayed silent for a moment before curiosity got the better of me and I pressed further. "So what are you going to do about it?" I expected to see frustration on his face, but instead he looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Lini, Shinra watching and I aren't married yet." He stepped closer. "What I mean is, if you're willing, we could be together. I'll expose Shinra watching for who she really is and make her take that kid and scram." I laughed in bitter disbelief. Whether in this life or the last, he's still just as full of himself. "Zhou Yi, are you still refusing to face reality?" I turned to leave, but he suddenly called out, "Lini, you must have seen me getting kidnapped in the park that day. Why didn't you help me?" My body froze as I slowly turned to face the person behind me. I didn't even step into the park this time. Why would he say that? The only explanation is that he's been reborn. Just like me. "Last night I dreamed you saved me from those criminals, only to get kidnapped yourself. 3 years later you returned, we got married, and stayed devoted for life." I laughed coldly, exposing his lie. "No, the truth is, we got married, I gave everything to help you rebuild your life, only to be cast aside like worthless trash in the end." Zhou Ye's pupils trembled. "Lini, you." He took a few steps toward me, but I quickly put distance between us. "Zhou Yi, isn't this the life you've always dreamed of? Enjoy it while it lasts. Rebirth is fine, it'll only make your regrets cut deeper." 15. I'm heading back to school again. The day before leaving, the police finally uncovered some leads in that kidnapping case. They told Zhou Yi that Shinra watching had a deal with that rich heir, which made the kidnappers mistake Zhou Yi for him. Zhou Yi became an innocent victim caught in the crossfire. The Zhou family wailed in anguish, and my parents wiped away tears in sorrow. Only I remained expressionless, reliving the suffering from my past life. Haven't I suffered an undeserved calamity myself? After packing my bags the next morning, I headed out. Then I saw Zhou Yi limping toward the exit. "Are you heading back?" Midway through the exam, urgent sobbing echoed from outside the classroom. Zhou Yi trailed behind me like a shadow. After leaving the neighborhood, I hailed a cab to the high-speed rail station. Just before boarding, Zhou Yi suddenly called out to me, "Lini, I'm sorry." Without a word, I got into the car without hesitation, but through the rearview mirror, I saw Zhou Yi watching from behind the whole time. I frowned in puzzlement. Ever since he became crippled, he's been shadowed wherever he goes. "Why are you out alone so early this time?" A few hours later, I'd just arrived at school when my parents bombarded me with messages. "Lini, this is absolutely horrific. Zhou Yi killed someone. Shinra watching and her 1-month-old baby were strangled to death by him. I heard he turned himself in at the police station." My head started ringing. So when he walked out of the neighborhood with me this morning, he was heading to the police station. Shinra watching orchestrated Zhou Ye's kidnapping for 30 million, and that child wasn't even his. God, Zhou Ye was so reckless, he just threw his whole life away. Uncle Zhou had a shock and was hospitalized with a sudden heart attack. After much deliberation, I decided to call Aunt Sun to offer some comfort. She was sobbing uncontrollably on the other end of the line. "When it comes down to it, Zhou Yi has only himself to blame. Childhood sweethearts you were, yet he blindly chose Shinra watching over you. Woo-woo, fate, it's all fate." After muttering my condolences, I hung up the phone. Whether it's blindness or destiny, Zhou Yi and I were never meant to cross paths again in this lifetime. 3 years later, I got into my university's graduate program and maintained a scholarship every single year. By graduation, I was drowning in job offers. Life became extraordinarily vibrant after Zhou Yi was out of the picture. E&D. Story 2. My sister and I unlocked the selection system. The system asked, 1 billion or your biological mother, which would you choose? My sister chose the 1 billion without hesitation. Then she married into the wealthy G family, receiving 1 billion in dowry. Meanwhile, I lived an ordinary life with my remarried mother. Who would have thought that less than 3 years after my sister married into the G family, they went bankrupt. Her husband fled abroad with all the money, leaving her alone to take the blame and go to prison. After she was released from prison, her first act was to come and kill me. When I opened my eyes again, both of us had returned to the day we had to make our choice. This time, she was the first to choose our birth mother. I laughed. Finally someone was going to brave that den of wolves in my stead. I choose my mom. My twin sisters in King War An utterly undisguised look of triumph as she said those words, identical to the expression she'd had in our past life after making her choice last time she chose the 10 billion, only to meet such a miserable end. Seems she's brimming with confidence about her decision this time. I had no choice but to accept the Ji family's 1 billion yuan bride price and marry the son of the country's richest man, Ji Tingxian, on our wedding day. The scene was nothing short of sensational. The elite from all fields across the nation attended our ceremony, except for the groom himself. This was exactly how Zheng Qing's marriage to him played out in her past life. It's almost laughable. Ji Tingxian is incredibly childish. He refused to attend the wedding just to prove his undying devotion to his white moonlight. Deep down I knew whether it was marrying my sister in his past life or marrying me this time, it was all because his family was pressuring him to settle down, and because we bore an uncanny resemblance to his white moonlight, as he put it, barely passable to look at. 1. The groom's absence made the wedding unbearably awkward. Standing alone beside the officiant, I caught sight of Zheng Qing in the crowd, her face full of mockery. Last time she got married and faced this situation, she became so flustered and angry that she burst into tears on the spot, turning an already awkward scene into something even more cringe-worthy. This time she must be determined to come and watch me make a fool of myself. My younger sister has always been like this since childhood. Unable to bear seeing me live better than her when we were kids, she was very playful while I studied hard, got good grades, and was always praised by the school. Resentful of this, she teamed up with school bullies to bully me. Thanks to her behaving this way all along, it has actually tempered me to remain unperturbed by honor or disgrace without any resentment. I completed all the procedures arranged by the host with a smile on my face when I went down to propose a toast. Several wealthy wives couldn't stop praising me, saying I carried myself with grace and composure, handling such circumstances with ease. They all thought I was suffering immense grievances, forced to put on a brave face while swallowing my pain, but what they didn't know was that I genuinely didn't care. It's just a wedding. What's the big deal if the groom shows up or not? As long as the 1 billion hits my account, that's all that matters. After all, I didn't marry for that stupid man on the wedding night. As soon as we got home, my mother-in-law flew into a rage at Ji Tingxian, calling him a worthless disappointment who nearly ruined the Ji family's reputation by failing to consider the bigger picture. Do you have any idea? If it weren't for Henin holding up the occasion today, our family would have become the laughingstock of everyone. Facing the accusations from his biological mother, Ji Tingxian looked full of resentment. The mother-in-law said with exasperation, "You should be grateful to marry a girl like Henin. What more could you possibly be dissatisfied with? Do you really think Henin married above her station by being with you? If you ask me, it's our family who married above our station. Do you even realize that Henin is actually enough?" "Stop talking," Ji Tingxian interrupted the conversation. "I don't care who she is." With that, he rose from the sofa, took a few quick steps toward me, and stared straight at me, his eyes devoid of any warmth. "You're just a stand-in, and a stand in should know their place. Remember, I'll never touch you, so don't even think about trying anything with me." God, this idiot's aura is making me sick. If my mother-in-law weren't here, I'd really want him to stay far away from me. I have a zero-tolerance policy for stupidity. I forced out an utterly fake smile and said, "That would be for the best." Zheng Qing was more impatient than I had thought. I had been married for less than a month, yet she was already in a hurry to come and show off to me. To ensure I wouldn't refuse her, she even fabricated a perfect excuse and had my mother relay it to me. "Your younger sister has found a really good boyfriend. I'm worried she might get deceived. Could you help me check and see what kind of man he is?" We met at a cafe, the location chosen by Zheng Qing. We hadn't even exchanged a few words before she started boasting that this was her favorite spot. As she spoke, she naturally linked arms with Lin Jiqiang, smiling sweetly. "Ah Chang spoils me so much, knowing I love this place. He immediately got us an annual membership card here." I thought as much. With Zheng Qing's monthly salary of just 2,800, there's no way she could afford the expenses of such a high-end cafe. Turns out she's flaunting someone else's money as her own. Keeping my composure, I smiled politely. "Then we should thank Mr. Lin for his patronage of our establishment." "That's right. This cafe is my business. After all, with a billion-dollar fortune in my hands, it'd be quite dull to just leave it all in the bank earning interest. It's only natural for me to invest some of it." Zheng Qing was initially holding her coffee, pretending to be artsy, but upon hearing this, she immediately set her cup down on the table. "Even if you're rich, don't invest recklessly. Be careful not to go bankrupt." Sensing Lin Jiqiang's puzzled look, she picked up her cup again, took a sip, and slowly said, "What I mean is, I've come to realize that money isn't important at all. What truly Matters is whether the people around you are genuine. Once this topic came up, she couldn't stop talking, praising Lin Jiqiang endlessly, how accomplished he was at a young age, how he catered to her every whim. As I looked at Zheng King, I couldn't help but feel pity for her. What could have clouded my sister's judgment so badly? Even after getting a second chance at life, she still hasn't seen the light. Money isn't as important as a man's sincerity. What kind of nonsense is she spouting? Besides, what kind of person Lin Jiqiang really is? How could I not know? In my past life, I also had a relationship with Lin Jiqiang. We met at a gathering at Wu Dexing's home. At that time, he was Wu Dexing's prized student. While my mother was discussing marriage with Wu Dexing too, Lin Jiqiang was handsome and talented, already a top expert in the industry at 30. Moreover, he treated me extremely well. With such a person pursuing me so intensely, I really had no reason to refuse. But my mother, after listening to Wu Dexing's advice, firmly opposed this marriage. Lin Jiqiang even suggested we get on the bus first and buy the ticket later, which I decisively refused. Little did I know that this refusal would reveal his true colors. He started spreading malicious rumors about me everywhere, causing me great distress. It took me a long time to finally put this matter to rest. Later, I found out that his urgency to marry me was because his so-called industry expert identity was completely fabricated. In reality, he had long been unable to keep his job at the company and wanted to leverage Wu Dexing's status as a university professor to secure a position at the university. Could a man like this have genuine feelings? Even if he did, they'd be nothing but trash. But all his dirty little secrets are nothing compared to the filthy thoughts Wu Dexing harbors. It's like comparing a minor league player to a major leaguer. While Lin Jiqiang was in the bathroom, I decided to give Zheng King a warning. After all, she's still my own sister, and I don't want to see her fall into that scoundrel's clutches. Don't waste your time on that Lin guy. Neither Wu Dexing nor Mom would ever agree to it, I said, taking a sip of coffee before adding, to be precise, they'd disapprove of anyone you're with. Stop talking nonsense. You're just jealous because your husband won't touch you, so you can't stand seeing me and Ah Chong being all lovey-dovey. Besides, Uncle Wu has always been very good to me. The reason you didn't get along with him before was because your personality was unlikable. I scoffed. Oh, so you think Wu Dexing likes you very much? Then I have nothing more to say. No advice can save those determined to perish. No mercy can reach those who cut themselves off. I've been very busy lately, busy making money work for me. Besides that coffee shop, I actually own several other properties. With money in hand, investing feels incredibly satisfying. It's like fulfilling my lifelong dream of being a businessperson. I used to dream of saving enough money to open my own store. During those years, I tried almost every job imaginable. I've gained thorough experience in every aspect, from production to sales, and even after-sales service, for many products. But for a mere wage earner, accumulating enough capital to start a business is no easy feat. I never got to fulfill that wish before I died. But looking back now, it's precisely these valuable experiences accumulated from grassroots work that allow me to understand the market, understand customers, and most importantly, understand employees better than other investors. After half a year, not only did my 1 billion not decrease, but I actually made quite a profit. Though I had no intention of telling anyone that day, I was lying in bed, gleefully looking at my bank account balance when Ji Tingxian suddenly barged into the bedroom, glaring at me with obvious displeasure. Woman, don't think pretending to be uninterested in me will get my attention. 3. I raised my head and looked at him with an expression reserved for idiots. Goddamn retard, I said distractedly. If you've got nothing better to do, go find something instead of hovering around me. I'm busy counting money and don't have time for you. Ji Tingxian, for some inexplicable reason, flew into a rage and started berating me. Money, 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 just like other women, all you know is spending. I scoffed inwardly. As for what happens to those who only know how to spend, I probably understood far better than he did. After all, there was Zheng Qing's cautionary tale back then. She was reckless and brainless with her extravagance, a 1 billion yuan dowry squandered in just over 2 years. Only when the money ran out did she remember the importance of maintaining marital bonds. But it was too late. By then, Ji Tingxian was already hopelessly infatuated with his white moonlight. I'm not like her. I never even considered trying to maintain this non-existent marital bond. Why waste time on such meaningless things? Isn't focusing on making money much better? A month later, my mother-in-law and I boarded a plane to Country F. She came for vacation, while I, firstly to conduct market research for idols, and secondly because I simply couldn't stand Ji Tingxian anymore. He's been appearing before me more frequently lately, each time putting on that domineering CEO act. Woman, no matter how cold you pretend to be, It's useless. I won't give you a second glance. I don't know how. To express my disdain for him, I genuinely look down on this kind of man who idles around doing nothing all day with a CEO like him. Can the company really stay operational regarding this issue? Ji Tingxian quickly demonstrated the answer through his actions. No, he completely lacks the most basic decision-making abilities that a leader should possess during these more than 2 weeks in Country F. My mother-in-law received daily calls about company matters, most of which were from Ji Tingxian himself, a nearly 30-year-old man, yet he behaves like a child, needing to consult his mother about every single matter. He can't make a single decision, let alone handle the unpredictable changes in the business world. My mother-in-law had such a bad headache that she had to book an early return flight home. I went on vacation to see if Tingxian could manage company affairs independently without me. Now it seems I overestimated him, but you're much more mature than him. Watching you conduct research these days reminded me of when I was young, helping his father manage business affairs. I'll repeat what I said back then. For the Ji family to marry a girl like you was truly reaching above our station. Looking at this earnest, kind-faced elder before me, I found it hard to connect her with the evil mother-in-law Zhang King had described, but in that moment I understood. My mother-in-law wasn't targeting anyone specifically. She simply despised incompetence. She showed this same contempt toward her own good-for-nothing son, let alone Zhang King, that utterly useless daughter-in-law of hers. Coincidentally, we share common ground in our disdain for useless people. The first thing I did after returning to my home country was establish an entertainment company and aggressively recruit trainees. I, Sun Qihan, am determined to make it in the entertainment industry, not just survive, but thrive. When my mother-in-law found out, she fully supported my venture, injecting substantial funds and leveraging her connections to secure numerous exposure opportunities for my trainees. At first I was somewhat resistant, not wanting to owe her such a big favor but she said something that basically dispelled my concerns. Don't think I'm spoiling you. I'm speaking strictly business here. I can't put all my eggs in one basket. Especially not in the G Corporation's shoddy basket that looks unreliable. With her support, my trainees quickly gained some fame, and coincidentally, there was a show called Form a Band, Trainees, in preparation, so I signed them up as one of the show's sponsors. I took my seat on the judges panel as the group formation manager. Trainees from various companies performed their talents one by one, but everyone knew these were merely supporting acts designed to highlight the next contestant. Hello everyone, my name is Lin Qingyan, the widely acknowledged top favorite to win Ji Tingxuan's long-cherished White Moonlight. It must be said. Lin Qingyan's face, undoubtedly worth every penny spent, is truly captivating. No wonder that fool Ji Tingxian is so bewitched by him, as if he's lost his soul. But as stunning as she looks, her talent performance was equally terrible. A rhythmless rap that made me nauseous. The image is excellent, but professional skills still need refinement. I thought I had phrased it quite diplomatically, but unexpectedly, Lin Qingyan's team turned out to be just as fake as she is, aggressively marketing her victim narrative. Lin Qingyan also deliberately or inadvertently revealed her past romantic history with Ji Tingxian, steering public opinion to portray me as a villain who stole someone's love and married into wealth by throwing myself at a rich man. Just one episode into the show, the buzz around her and me already overshadowed all the other trainees, exactly the outcome her team was aiming for right now. What netizens are most curious about is Ji Tingxuan's own stance on the matter. In fact, everyone in the industry knows that the president of a listed company would never personally respond to such gossip news. However, they overestimated Ji Tingxuan's intelligence. I received his call. Just admit that your coldness towards me was an act, and I'll reluctantly help you out this time. Fucking idiot. I shouted this long-suppressed thought and immediately hung up the phone. Half an hour later, I saw the headline news. The CEO of G Group publicly sided with Lin Qingyan and revealed their love token. You idiot. Have you lost your damn mind? I drove straight to Ji Tingxian and slapped him across the face, shouting angrily. He covered his reddened cheek, staring at me in shock. The last person who hit me was my mother. Woman, you're playing with fire. If you keep mixing personal and professional matters and blabbing everything, you're truly playing with fire. Do you really think Lin Qingyan is any good? He smirked. Ha, woman, so you're jealous of Yan Yan after all. As if you're worthy. I'm exhausted. Let it all burn. There's really no saving him. I originally thought I could sound the alarm and make him stay away from Lin Qingyan, so my mother-in-law's efforts wouldn't go to waste, but now it seems unnecessary. With leadership like this, if the G Corporation doesn't go bankrupt, it would truly be unjust. The rival of the G family, the Guoguan Group, did not let go of this golden opportunity. Capitalizing on the gossip about Ji Tingxian and Lin Qingyan, They heavily publicized Ji Tingshuan's chaotic personal life and even dug up that the love token was actually a limited edition from a brand that insulted the nation. 5 Overnight, Ji Tingshuan's reputation plummeted, and along with it, the stock price of the Ji family's enterprise took a nosedive. I glanced at the ever-increasing balance in my bank account, feeling not the slightest bit of panic. Let him go bankrupt, I'll keep making my money, no interference either way. But in Xing Qing's eyes, that was clearly not the case. She was convinced that Ji Tingxian and I were in the same boat, so the moment she heard about the sharp drop in Ji Group's stock price, she immediately called to mock me. Although I broke up with Qiang, Uncle Wu treats me really well. He buys me lots of designer brands and unconditionally supports me in everything I do, unlike you, who may have a wealthy husband, but he doesn't even care about you at all. Finally, she didn't forget to add, oh sorry, I forgot. Your wealthy husband is about to go bankrupt too. I remained silent and hung up the phone. Sometimes, watching a fool perform can leave one feeling quite helpless. That's just how Wu Dexing is, spending money like water, especially on young girls. Although his pension isn't particularly low, it can't withstand his current spending habits. In my previous life, my mother had to work multiple jobs every day, enduring great hardship. I tried persuading her to break up with Wu Dexing, but she insisted that finding a caring companion in old age wasn't easy. Seeing that persuasion was futile, I resolved to earn more to support her. It was precisely for this reason that I resigned from my position as a college gymnastics instructor, seeking broader career opportunities, and so from that day onward, I became the one juggling multiple jobs simultaneously. Yet what made it hardest for me to endure wasn't the pressure from work, but my mother's insatiable greed. She never felt sorry for me, she only complained that I didn't give enough. Gradually, I realized my mother was a hopeless romantic fool. For that wretched old man Wu Dexing, she had no qualms about working me like livestock. So what about now? My younger sister is notoriously lazy and gluttonous. Expecting her to go out and earn money is absolutely impossible, so my mother has no choice but to tough it out herself. With my mother's frail physique, how could she possibly withstand their exploitation? Sure enough, within a few days, I received a call from my mother. She kept sobbing on the phone, describing her situation as utterly miserable. I believe everything you're saying, but what does that have to do with me? I calmly said a few words and hung up the phone. Playing the saint too often never ends well. Remember to let go of the savior complex and respect others' destinies. The competition in Idol Trainee Camp has passed the halfway mark, with all contestants giving their all to secure a debut spot, except for Lin Qingyan, who stands as the exception. Had I not seen it with my own eyes, I'd never believe that at this stage of the competition, someone could still perform Dancing Diva so utterly poorly. Her movements were distorted, her voice off-key as she sang the final line. No one sees the dancer's joys and sorrows. I endured through the entire song until I couldn't take it anymore. Nobody sees this lady's joys and sorrows either. The entire studio suddenly fell silent, my blood boiling. I said sharply, had you attended even a single gymnastics class, you couldn't possibly have performed this artistic gymnastics piece so poorly. Have you ever respected the audience? Have you ever respected rhythmic gymnastics? This is a desecration of the sport. As soon as I finished speaking, some fans behind me expressed dissatisfaction. What? Is this woman crazy? Does she even understand gymnastics? Exactly. Our Yen Yen has been working so hard. This old hag is just jealous of Yen Yen. Lin Qingyan remained composed and smiled slightly. Sister Qihan is right. I'm indeed not very skilled in this area, but from what you're saying, sister, you seem to know rhythmic gymnastics quite well. Could you demonstrate it for us? As she spoke, she lifted the performance ribbon in her hand. I understood, she was provoking me. She was now smiling brilliantly and elegantly, but it didn't matter. Soon, that smile would vanish. I took the ribbon from her hand and spun, leaped, and closed my eyes in one fluid, graceful motion. Haven't practiced in a while, I'm a bit rusty. I smiled as I returned the ribbon to Lin Qingyan's hand. She currently has a completely bewildered expression, but what left her even more dumbfounded was yet to come. 6. That very afternoon, someone online dug up another identity of mine that I'd never mentioned before. Former world champion in rhythmic gymnastics. These are just some past honors I've received. Nothing worth mentioning really, but the public's obsession with this identity of mine far exceeded my expectations. Within less than half a day, news about me spread across the internet, with everyone marveling at my excellence and admiring my humility even more. I knew it, no ordinary person could marry into the richest family. You've got to have real skills to be worthy. What nonsense are you talking about? That's a world champion we're discussing. It's the Ji family who's climbing the social ladder here. Thanks to my status as a world champion, The reputation of the G Corporation has also rebounded, after falling for over a week. The stock price finally showed an upward trend, allowing the G family to narrowly escape disaster. This time my mother-in-law, who had been anxious for days, could finally breathe a slight sigh of relief. I told you so. Marrying Henin was the best fortune your G family could ever have. You'd better appreciate your luck, you brat. It took me a long time to find out that the person who first revealed my championship status online was actually hired by my mother-in-law. I asked her why she did this. She said proudly, "My daughter-in-law is so outstanding. I can't let her be bullied by those worthless people." While I was thriving and flourishing, Lin Qingyan's life wasn't going so well after the dancer incident. Her popularity plummeted, the company poured massive resources into her, but her abysmal professional skills wasted all these investments, forcing the company to consider promoting someone else instead. Just like that, Lin Qingyan became the company's discarded pawn. Some inexplicable rumor started circulating, leading public opinion to speculate that I would definitely take this opportunity to crush Lin Qingyan completely to promote our own trainee. Lin Qingyan herself completely abandoned her last shred of dignity. Facing the cameras, she tearfully claimed she was under tremendous pressure, in poor condition, felt targeted, and might withdraw from the competition at any moment due to the unbearable stress. The trolls also seized the moment to exert their influence, constantly making insinuations that she was being suppressed by me. In reality, these were nothing more than the struggles of a cornered beast. She had already been abandoned by the company. This was an indisputable fact. No matter how much she flailed about, she was only lining the pockets of marketing accounts with her own money. All I needed to do was watch quietly, but I forgot that I still had a useless teammate like Ji Tingxian this time. He was once again the first to step forward and declare his stance. However, unlike last time, he firmly stood by my side. This time I rushed into his office covered in dust, and seeing his smug expression asking for credit, my anger flared up uncontrollably. "Did you really forget everything I said last time about keeping personal and professional matters separate? Are you out of your mind?" Clueless and helpless in his rage, he shouted, "You woman, I'm protecting you, yet you're still not satisfied. What exactly do you want me to do?" My phone vibrated in my pocket. When I picked it up to check, my vision darkened. The rival company had moved faster than I anticipated. After seeing Ji Tingshuan's outrageous stance, I immediately contacted PR to minimize the public fallout. But now it's clear we were still a step too slow. Ji Tingshuan's scandal has already flooded the internet. Is Ji Tingxian really helping Zheng Qihan speak out now? Or is he just pouring fuel on the fire? LOL. This rotten playboy still trying to play the devoted lover. In no time, all sorts of scandalous rumors about him were dug up. Of course I knew these were all fake, but with the gossip-loving public care, for 3 whole days, this matter remained trending. I was determined to let him clean up his own mess. He struggled for over a month without making any progress, and in the end, it was my mother-in-law who stepped in to settle things for him. At the family dinner that day, my mother-in-law looked physically and mentally exhausted. "I'm getting old and have wanted to let go for a while now. This is the last time I'll help you. From now on, don't come to me with any company matters. Listen more to your wife. He's quite good at applying what he's learned. Honey, do you have any suggestions for the company's future development?" I took a sip of red wine and looked at my mother-in-law. "Mom, if conditions permit, I suggest you have another child. When it rains, it pours. Lately, nothing has been going smoothly for me." Just as we resolved the mess Ji Tingxian caused, news came that my mom was hospitalized due to illness. 7. As soon as Ji Tingxian and I arrived at the hospital room, my mom started scolding me. "You brat, you finally showed up. At least you've got some conscience. Spoke too soon. We're actually here to get back the 500,000 yuan Ji Tingxian transferred to you." This idiot, trying to suck up to me, immediately transferred 500,000 yuan when he heard my mom was hospitalized. Luckily he came to boast about it to me right after, otherwise I might have lost 500,000 yuan for nothing and remained completely unawares. "In Qihan, you're really outrageous. It's bad enough that you won't contribute any money yourself, but now you even want to take back the money your brother-in-law gave." I glanced over coldly and saw Zheng Qing returning from outside, carrying large and small shopping bags, with Wu Dexing following behind her. From the looks of it, they'd been out shopping together. My mother worked herself sick trying to support these two parasites, and yet they actually had the leisure to go shopping. How dare they criticize me? I sneered coldly. "Oh, buying so many luxury items, surely you're not using the 500,000 my family lent you. None of your business. The money was lent to me by brother-in-law. What's it to you?" I teased mockingly. "Oh, your brother-in-law regrets it now and wants it back." Zheng Qing blinked her big eyes at Ji Tingxian. "Brother-in-law, is what she said true? Without changing my expression, I looked at Ji Tingxian, who resembled a kitten being handled. Obediently nodding his head, earning him a smile from me, I then turned to Xing Qing, not returning it is fine, just pay the interest. While taking out her phone to transfer the money, Xing Qing grumbled, you rotten-hearted thing, all you care about is money. Unlike me who values relationships, I glanced at her, then at Wu Dexing, who had been fawning over her from behind. If you value emotional bonds, that's excellent. Uncle Wu holds deep affection for you. In the blink of an eye, the final night of the competition arrived under the witness of hundreds of millions. Han Zishi, from the same company as Lin Qingyan, emerged as a dark horse to claim the championship, debuting as the center. Many might find this outcome surprising, but I know this young girl's talent truly deserves such recognition. I've seen her practicing dance alone late at night. I've seen her bruised and crying after failing difficult moves, only to get up and try again. I've seen her practicing within 4 drip while running a 40 degrees Celsius fever. To be fair, she works harder and performs better than all the trainees under my management. Now she stands at the center of the stage, holding her trophy under everyone's gaze, crying like a child, sobbing. She expressed endless gratitude to me, saying it was all thanks to me that she reached this position today. On the eve of the competition, rumors had been swirling that I was using capital to suppress trainees from other companies in order to promote my own artists. Many unscrupulous marketing accounts even asserted that the final center position would undoubtedly go to my trainee 8. However, reality dealt these people a harsh slap in the face. I did indeed leverage capital, but it was used to support Han Zishi during that period. There were internal rumors among the trainees that Han Zishi was considering withdrawing from the competition. For a girl who loved the stage so much, withdrawing must have been a last resort, only after sending someone to inquire. Did I learn that her father had fallen seriously ill and couldn't afford medical treatment? Without hesitation, I covered all her father's medical expenses, relieving her of any worry so she could focus on the competition. Dreams are precious, and children from ordinary families should be even braver in pursuing them. I hope you never give up easily. I'm here for you. I thought after finishing the show's recording, I could stay away from all the drama and get some proper rest for a while, but as fate would have it, the secret formula of G's flagship product was leaked. In the previous life, the G family never recovered after this incident and went completely bankrupt 6 months later. This news caused quite a stir at the time. My sister tearfully told me it was all because of that bitch Lin Qingyan, who, seeing no hope of climbing the social ladder, turned to embrace the president of Guoguan Group instead. The secret formula was something she extracted from Ji Tingxian and leaked out. But in this life, Ji Tingxian follows my every command and has long severed ties with Lin Qingyan. How could he still fall for her tricks? Ji Tingxian stammered. She said if I don't give her the secret recipe, she'll have someone kidnap you. I massaged my forehead. Guess why she doesn't just kidnap me directly? Is it because she doesn't like the idea? I shouted angrily. I go out with 2 bodyguards every day. How the hell would she kidnap me? Do you have a brain? Even if she succeeded, so what? Am I more valuable, or is the secret recipe more valuable? You're valuable. You're more valuable than anything, Ji Tingxian answered instantly. Besides, we have so many product lines at home. It's not like we depend on this one product to make a living. I was so angry that my mind went blank, and I really wanted to personally dismantle his head to see what kind of structure was inside. Seeing my expression grow increasingly grim, he whispered, so what do we do now? Mom said to listen to you more. I let out a long sigh and looked out the window. Let me show you the way forward. Why don't you just jump out now? The situation became extremely awkward, but thankfully my phone rang just in time. The moment I answered the call, I heard my mother's hysterical screaming, come home quickly, something's happened to your sister. Xing Qing was crying her eyes out, barely able to speak coherently, while my mother kept hesitating as if there was something she couldn't bring herself to say. It took me a while to finally understand what had actually happened. To put it simply, my sister was almost raped, and the perpetrator was none other than my mother's new partner, Wu Dexing. I knew my sister was foolish, but I never imagined she could be this stupid. 9. My mother was at a loss. What do we do now? With your sister like this and your uncle Wu gone, how am I supposed to live the rest of my life? Her wailing irritated me, and I snapped, what else can we do? First, report it to the police and get him arrested. We'll figure out the rest later. My mom's face changed drastically upon hearing this, and she frantically tried to stop me. No, you can't call the police. If you do, Uncle Wu will be finished. Besides, flies don't land on an uncracked egg. If Ying had been more proper, the man wouldn't have assaulted her. Ha, still the same old mom I know. In my past life, When I told her about that old pervert's intentions toward me, she had the same damn attitude from that moment. I understood, my mom is a complete love addict, she'd rather believe her daughter is a promiscuous lowlife and admit her sweetheart is a dirty old man. Zinking wasn't crying now, but her expression looked even more desperate than before. Seizing the moment when my mom stepped out to use the bathroom, she confronted me. You knew all along what kind of person he was, didn't you? Why didn't you tell me? Of course, how could I not know? I'm just smarter and more decisive than her. When I discovered Wu Dexing's true nature and realized my mother wouldn't stand by me, I fled that hellhole overnight and began living independently. Almost all the money I'd earned before was in my mother's hands, so life after leaving home was extremely tough for me. I also tried seeking help from my wealthy sister, but at the height of her success, she wouldn't even glance my way. 10. Now you dare to accuse me? How shameless. I glared at Zing King and said indignantly. My words left her momentarily stunned. I gave her a contemptuous look. What does it matter if you're reborn? What does it matter if you made different choices? You can see it now too. No matter what you choose, you'll always be the loser. Do you know why? Zing King clenched her lower lip tightly, her expression turning ferocious, her eyes filled with hatred. I moved closer to her, touched her beautiful face, and said with a smile, because you're stupid, you always pin your hopes on others, you've never thought about changing anything by yourself. Silly little sister, even if a fool and good for nothing were reborn 100 times, they'd just perform 100 different ways to die like fools. I'll kill you. Suddenly, she recklessly charged forward, grabbing my collar and attempting to choke me. Yet the moment she made her move, bodyguards burst through the door and pinned her to the ground, eliciting screams like a slaughtered pig. I crouched down to examine her closely, sighing with pity. TSK, TSK, TSK. Did you really think you were still on the same level as me? The fact that I allowed you to get this close was already showing you face, and you actually tried to kill me. Pinned to the ground, she thrashed and writhed frantically like a madwoman. Oh, I can't say she's like a madwoman, given her condition. She must truly be insane. That very night, my mom called me in tears. What do we do? Your sister went crazy and jumped into the river. She was lucky to be pulled out in time, but even before jumping, she was already acting deranged. The shock of the icy water made her mind even more unstable. Now she goes berserk at the sight of men and turns violent. My mother had no choice but to pay out of her own pocket to send her to a mental hospital. Are you sure you won't help? Your mother is really struggling, Ji Tingxian cautiously asked, his eyes secretly glancing in my direction, like an old eunuch awaiting an imperial decree. I gave him a disdainful look. Don't bother. Her perception matches the suffering she's endured. You'd better worry about your own affairs. I've heard the workers haven't been paid for over 2 months and are about to cause trouble. He patted his chest and said, don't worry about this, I already have a solution, just wait a couple days to see your man perform. I looked at him with skepticism, muttering to myself, can I really trust him? I have to say, when it comes to being disappointing, Ji Tingxian never lets me down. Within days, he answered my doubts with his actions, not a shred of credibility. 11. He gathered employee representatives from the company and held what he called a mobilization meeting. Seeing his smug and self-satisfied look, I thought he had actually come up with a good solution to overcome the crisis. Who knew he would propose suspending workers' wages and then deliver a lengthy speech? I know everyone is also struggling, so I'm willing to lead by example. Starting today, I, Ji Tingxian, will also stop receiving my salary like everyone else. I believe that as long as we all work together, we can definitely overcome this difficult time. The stench of this capitalist bloodsucker made me sick to my stomach. How could the worker representatives below the stage listen to his nonsense? They were all shouting to beat him up. Just as the situation was about to spiral out of control, a figure strode heroically onto the podium, raised a thin rod in hand, and swung it straight at Ji Tingxian's back. The crowd below instantly fell silent. Ji Tingxian froze for 2 seconds, turned to look back with an expression of utter disbelief. The one who hit him was none other than his own mother, and the one who handed over the stick was none other than his own wife. This strike is for my fellow workers. My mother-in-law held the stick in her hand, her face stern and serious. You're a rich kid from a wealthy family, of course you don't rely on salary to get by, but have you ever thought about how these ordinary workers can support their families without wages? The anger on my mother-in-law's face gradually faded, replaced by frustration. I never let you suffer any hardship, but I never thought this would harm you, turning you into such a useless person. Ji Tingxian rubbed his sore back, looking aggrieved. My mother-in-law pushed him aside with disgust, then turned to me with a smile and beckoned for me to come on stage. Regarding the company's future, everyone need not worry. I hereby promise that salaries will be paid as usual within the next 2 months. If the company cannot continue operations after 2 months, I will pay everyone the corresponding compensation in accordance with legal regulations, but I believe we won't reach that point, because my good daughter-in-law has already prepared a complete set of contingency plans for this crisis. As she spoke, she gently took my hand. Oh wait, I should address you as former Chairman Zhang. I now officially announce that Ji Tingxian is stepping down from the position of chairman. A familiar female voice rang out from behind the crowd. Xin Qihan. Don't celebrate too soon, I've spent a fortune to secure connections with the Zhang family. Your raw material supply chain will be cut off soon. Even with all your capabilities, you won't be able to revive this losing game. Lin Qingyan arrived uninvited, with vengeance achieved practically written across her face. Ji Tingxian, you abandoned me, your old flame, for your new wife. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Bet you never expected that the family business your parents built would be destroyed by me alone. She walked through the crowd, surrounded by bodyguards, and stopped before me with a provocative look. Xin Qihan, you stole the position that rightfully belonged to me. You're really asking for death. Ji Tingxian shielded me behind him and began delivering his domineering CEO lines. If you're deliberately trying to provoke me, let me tell you, you've succeeded. Get out of here, I impatiently said, grabbing Ji Tingxian by the collar and yanking him backward. Throwing him behind me, I stepped forward to meet Lin Qingyan's challenging gaze, not backing down in the slightest. 12. You don't actually think you've won, do you? In the previous life, Guiguan Group secured victory by cutting off G Group's raw material supply. Coincidentally, I worked as a live-in nanny in my past life, and my employer Zhang Weiping was actually the owner of G Group's raw material supplier, but by then, the situation was already irreversible, and I could do nothing about it. This time was different. When I noticed events unfolding along the same trajectory, I anticipated Lin Qingyan's next move and proactively reached out to Zhang Weiping first. Zhang Weiping divorced early in life and never remarried, raising his 5.5-year-old daughter Miao Miao alone, spoiling her rotten. Miao Miao had been an extremely picky eater since childhood, never eating properly. For her sake, Zhang Weiping spent no small amount of money hiring specialists to adjust her diet, but to little effect. Until I came along, it took me just over half a year to cure the little girl of her picky eating habits. Once her eating normalized, her temperament improved significantly, for which Zhang Weiping was deeply grateful to me. Since I had Miao Miao completely figured out in my past life, handling her this time would naturally be a piece of cake. The Ji and Zhang families have been business partners for years. Leveraging this relationship, I invited the father and daughter to the dinner party and presented them with a chestnut cake I personally made, Miao Miao's absolute favorite. The little girl instantly fell in love with it, devouring several pieces. Zhang Weiping was utterly astonished and insisted on getting the recipe, claiming he'd pay any amount for it. I didn't want his money, but I demanded his guarantee of a steady supply of raw materials. He agreed readily and went home satisfied with my recipe. My mother-in-law expressed concern. Aren't you afraid he might go back on his word? Don't worry, even if Lin Qingyan tries to tempt him with benefits again in the future, I dare guarantee he won't go back on his word. That chestnut cake, Miao Miao would get tired of it after eating for 10 days to half a month, and then he'd have to come begging me again, and I have hundreds of recipes for foods Miao Miao loves, enough to keep him hooked for over a decade. After answering a phone call, Lin Qingyan's face turned alternately green and purple, looking utterly dreadful. I sneered, what's wrong? Not laughing anymore, is it just not in your nature to laugh? Seeing her rendered speechless by my retort, I pressed my advantage. It was Zhang Weiping who called you, wasn't it? Did he tell you he wouldn't agree to your demands? Oh dear, it seems he doesn't want your dirty money. Furious, she rushed forward and started grappling with me. Though Ji Tingxian was mentally incompetent, his reflexes were sharp enough. He grabbed Lin Qingyan's arm and shoved her back violently. How dare you lay hands on a woman belonging to Ji Tingxian at this moment? The domineering CEO's lines don't seem quite so nauseating anymore. Lin Qingyan stumbled from the push, signaling with her eyes for the bodyguard brothers nearby to step in immediately. To be honest, I'm quite curious to see if a battle-damaged Ji Tingxian would be more pleasing to the eye, but reason tells me that if a real fight breaks out, the consequences might go far beyond just battle scars. So I spoke up to stop them. Big brother's protecting her now, when she ends up in court later and you can't get your wages. Don't say I didn't warn you beforehand. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Oh, you don't know yet. I've already submitted materials to the relevant departments, accusing you of infringing trade secrets and engaging in unfair competition. The money you gave to Zhang Weiping has also been submitted as evidence. What should we do? someone might end up in jail. Lin Qingyan's stress tolerance was too poor, and she fainted on stage. Zhi Tingshuan gave me a big thumbs up. Honey, you're amazing, what would I do without you? Get lost. If it weren't for fear of mom's hard work going to waste, I wouldn't bother cleaning up your mess. When I say the G family business was my mother-in-law's life's work, I'm not exaggerating at all. She told me about her struggles in her youth. Back then, my father-in-law was just a greenhorn who lost money in every business venture, becoming the laughingstock of the whole village. It wasn't until he married my mother-in-law that things started looking up. Later on, when the G family enterprise was established, my mother-in-law was even busier, attending to every single matter without exception. You have no idea how those years wore me down. My health deteriorated. The doctor warned that if I kept pushing myself like this, I wouldn't be able to keep the baby in my womb. My mother-in-law recalled the past with a bitter expression. But even after all these years of dedicating myself to the company, I never got an official position. Tingshuan's damn father always said women couldn't be trusted with important responsibilities. What nonsense. She sounded resentful but suddenly grew smug. No matter how much he schemed, he never expected to die young. After his death, both our son and the company had to listen to me. Just thinking about it makes me feel vindicated. 13. My mother-in-law is usually an elegant lady, but I never expected her to have such an attitude when talking about her late husband. I found it somewhat absurd, but mostly endearing. I smiled and said, luckily, Tingxian isn't like his father. He's quite supportive of me taking over the company. How dare he not support you? My mother-in-law took my hand and said gently, my dear, you must remember that we women are no less capable than those big men. There's no need for us to always stay behind and support them. I understood her meaning perfectly and nodded with a smile. After much deliberation, I still chose to report to the police behind my mother's back, and Wu Dexing was sentenced to 6 years in prison. On the day of the arrest, my mother came to make a scene with me, saying I had ruined her happiness for the rest of her life. I told her that wasn't the case. Happiness was still possible, so I promptly sent her to the happy retirement home. Ji Tingxian was sent to the grassroots level for training. As my mother-in-law put it, he needed to experience all the hardships he had missed out on over the past 30 years, so he wouldn't be so useless. To ensure he wouldn't receive any special treatment, my mother-in-law deliberately concealed his identity and sent him to the most remote factory under the company's subsidiary. At first, Ji Tingxian cried and made a scene like a spoiled brat refusing to go to school. This situation ended on the day he received his salary, with a monthly pay of 1,500 yuan. He carried himself like he'd earned 15 million. That day he called me in sheer delight to boast about his fortune of 1,500 yuan. Did you know? This is the first time I've earned money through my own labor. For the first time, I feel my existence has meaning. That meaning is work. From then on, Ji Tingxian became increasingly motivated. By carrying heavy loads at the factory, he repeatedly earned recognition as an advanced worker. I used to think I'd ruined him by how I raised him, but it turns out I just chose the wrong path. He's actually the physical labor type. My mother-in-law dropped this remark and, pulling her suitcase, embarked on her vacation journey. As for me, I wasn't so leisurely. Both the G family business and my entertainment company were thriving. I was busy making money and counting it, overwhelmed with work. This bittersweet feeling is truly fascinating. Story 2. My best friend has bound a system that can absorb other people's luck. As soon as I heard the system voice, I immediately packed my things and fled in a hurry, because I was reborn and knew that the first unlucky person she would try to absorb luck from was me. In my previous life, she sucked away all my luck. Although I was the top student in my grade, I failed the college entrance examination. Despite being in good health, I died of a terminal illness. This time around, I will definitely make sure that she can never absorb anyone's luck again. 1. At the beginning of the second year of senior high school, the class rearranged seats according to the grades of the previous semester. Holding the report card showing that I was the first in the grade, I walked to the middle of the first row. The classmates in the class all cast sidelong glances at me, looking at me in surprise. Before this, I had always been desk mates with my good best friend and we sat in the last 2 rows. Jiang Fanqing, Lin Yuewei came over and approached me, looking utterly confused. What are you doing? I put my school bag in the desk drawer and gently pointed at the desk with my chin. Changing seats. Lin Yuewei's body stiffened, and her eyes widened. You want to change seats? Why? Because the voice of your system is so loud that it disturbs me from having classes. I slightly turned my body and pushed Lin Yuewei away. Immediately, the system voice on her body rang out, disconnected from the target. The attempt to absorb luck failed. Please try again. I was reborn back to the second year of senior high school. Before I started having bad luck in my previous life, in order to tutor Lin Yu away. I sat at the back of the classroom with her then, not long after, I started to catch colds and have fevers frequently, and even fell down on flat ground especially during exams. As soon as I entered the examination room, I would have a fever. As soon as I picked up the exam paper, I would have a headache. Even if I didn't feel uncomfortable, I would get injured and bleed due to bumps and bruises, and couldn't take the exam normally. Once or twice might be a coincidence, but having a fever and having accidents every time couldn't help but draw attention. My parents took me to see the most authoritative doctor. However, when the examination report came out, there was nothing wrong with me. The doctor said that my body was very healthy, and it might be a psychological problem. He suggested that I take a year off from school to adjust my mindset at home. Otherwise, in my current state, I wouldn't be able to take the college entrance examination. I followed the doctor's advice and applied for a leave of absence from school. During the year of my leave of absence, I never had a fever again, and there were no more accidents. I thought I was okay. However, during the college entrance examination, I had a fever for 3 consecutive days, reaching 42 degrees Celsius, and it wouldn't go down. Taking medicine, getting injections, and having infusions didn't work. As soon as I entered the examination room, my head would ache unbearably. I finished the exam with a nosebleed. As soon as I left the examination room, I knew I was finished. Sure enough, when the college entrance examination results came out, I scored more than 200 points and couldn't even get into a junior college. My teacher knew my academic level and advised me to repeat the senior year. Unfortunately, before I could sign up, I was diagnosed with advanced brain cancer. Obviously, there were no signs when I had a physical examination a month ago. My cancer cells spread and deteriorated very quickly. 2 days after I was admitted to the hospital, I was issued a death notice. The speed was so fast that I no longer had any fear of death in the hospital ward. My relatives, friends, teachers, and classmates all felt sorry for me, especially my best friend who took a year off from school with me. She cried the most sorrowfully, almost heartbroken. Lin Yuwei was my closest friend. After she knew that I had taken a leave of absence from school due to illness, in order to accompany me, she also applied for a leave of absence. I was very touched and tried to persuade her countless times, but she wouldn't listen. I could only let her come to my home, and the tutor gave us tutoring together. During the leave of absence, we attended classes together, did exercise questions together, had meals together, and even slept together. We were as close as sisters and inseparable. Later, she performed exceptionally well and was admitted to the university that all students dreamed of. I was sincerely happy for her, but before I died, I heard the system voice coming from her body. The target's luck has been completely absorbed. Congratulations to the host for completing the task and successfully changing your fate. Only then did I know that she had been absorbing my luck all along too. After I died, my soul remained. I followed Lin Yu away every day. I watched her keep looking for targets, through physical contact or collecting hair. She continued to absorb other people's luck. I wanted to stop her, but I was powerless. In just 7 years, with the good luck she absorbed, she went from a poor student who received a student grant to a powerful business leader at a young age. She was on the Forbes list, her reputation spread throughout the world, and she became an example for countless entrepreneurs to follow. Of course, during this period, many people died unexpectedly. After reaching the peak of her life, the system accomplished its mission and disappeared without a trace. Without the cheat system, Lin Yuwei wisely chose to retire and married into a wealthy family with hundreds of millions of assets. However, it's not easy to live in a wealthy family. The intrigues within those wealthy families are even more dangerous than the deception and business struggles. Without the system, Lin Yuwei had nothing but money. She was quickly eaten up by her overbearing in-laws. Finally, she died in a carefully arranged accident at the scene of the car accident. Before I could gloat, I heard the system voice that had disappeared for a long time ring out again. Detected that the host's health value is 0. Do you choose to prepay 100 million luck points to activate time regression? Then, I was reborn along with Lin Yuwei. The first thing she did after being reborn was to lock onto me with the system without even a second of hesitation. Listening to the system voice on her body, I secretly laughed. Since I was also reborn, in this life, it's absolutely impossible for her to absorb anyone's luck again. 3. The classroom was noisy. The classmates were choosing seats according to their grades. Seeing that I had no intention of getting up, Lin Yuwei looked impatient and reached out to drag me. Stop making trouble. Class is about to start, come back with me. In my previous life, she didn't dare to be so tough with me. She was really so spoiled by money and power that she forgot who she was. I slapped her hand away. Who are you? It's my freedom to choose where to sit. Aren't you meddling a bit too much? As soon as I said this, the noisy classroom fell silent instantly. Everyone couldn't believe that I would speak harshly to Lin Yuewei because I had always been very kind to Lin Yuewei. Her family conditions were not good, her parents divorced and each remarried, no one took care of her. I used my pocket money to pay for her tuition and living expenses. She had a bad stomach. I asked the nanny at home to regulate her diet. She had special meals for 3 meals a day, and I also accompanied her to exercise. She didn't study well. I changed seats and dormitories, paid out of my own pocket to buy exercise books and study materials, and tutored her personally. We also made an agreement to get into the same university. In the eyes of others, Lin Yuewei was a better best friend than my own mother. So at this moment, when I left her alone and sat in the front row, everyone was confused, including Lin Yuewei. What's wrong with you? Are you still minding that I'm getting too close to the people in the next class? Can you stop being unreasonable? It's my freedom to make friends with whomever I want. Aren't you also meddling a bit too much? The class beauty in the next class was her second target in the previous life. The two of them became best friends only after they entered university. In this life, Lin Yuewei should be planning to deal with me and then immediately move on to the next target, so she has been deliberately approaching the other person these days. The class beauty didn't know anything and naively made friends with her, and I couldn't avoid her fast enough. So how could I mind? You can make friends with whomever you like. What does it have to do with me? Lin Yuewei snickered, as if she had heard a joke. I'm laughing so hard. Who was the one shamelessly begging to be my deskmate and roommate? Who was the one following me around every day? Do you want me to play the recording of you begging the teacher for everyone to hear? To be honest, I was a bit embarrassed to be entangled with someone of this level in front of so many people. It was really embarrassing. Lin Yuewei looked very proud, and I was simply speechless. Whatever you want, do whatever you want, just don't bother me. My disdainful look angered Lin Yuewei. She couldn't hold her face and became furious, unleashing her trump card. In that case, let's break up our friendship. Before, she was very good at pretending to be pitiful and weak, and then pretending to cry and say that we should break up. I would basically compromise. She always thought that I would fall for this, but that was in the previous life. Okay, when she heard my answer, Lin Yuewei's face turned pale, and she looked a bit disbelieving. What did you say? Did you hear me clearly? I said we should break up our friendship. Do you think I'm joking? I'm telling you, I'm angry. The consequences will be serious. I will never talk to you again, and it's impossible for me to say a single word to you. If you apologize now, I can take back what I just said. You're so fake. Fine, okay, sure. If you want to break up, then let's break up. Don't you ever regret it? She was so angry that she completely lost her composure. I covered my tortured ears. Okay, just go away, you. The class bell rang, and it was time for class to start. Lin Yuewei looked at the head teacher who came in. It seemed that she remembered something. Her irritability suddenly disappeared, and she inexplicably raised the corners of her mouth. Then she stretched out her finger and pointed to the seat next to me. Wang shouted, make an arrangement. I want to sit here. There was an uproar in the class when the head teacher heard his own name. Suddenly, he was also slightly taken aback. After reacting, he pushed his glasses and said sternly, just because you are ranked where you are, you want to sit in the first row. Can't you see? Why don't you get a pair of glasses? There are so many people wearing glasses at the back who haven't said anything. Are you the only one who can't see? The rule of arranging seats in our class according to grades was set at the beginning of the first year of senior high school. On what basis are you making an exception? The head teacher lectured Lin Yuewei. Lin Yuewei listened with a gloomy expression, her eyes blazing with anger, as if she was enduring a great humiliation. After gnashing her teeth for a long time, she finally managed to squeeze out a harsh word. Fine, I'll remember you. Don't come to me for help in the future. For goodness sake, wake up. Can she ever figure out her own identity? Does she still think she's a business leader who influences international finance? Was it with this stupid brain that she became a CEO in the previous life? I gritted my teeth and covered my mouth to stop myself from laughing. The head teacher over there had been so angry that he laughed. Go. If you don't want to attend class, stand at the door. Don't act crazy here. Being scolded by the teacher in front of so many people, Lin Yuewei was so angry that her chest heaved violently. Finally, she gave me a vicious glare and walked out of the classroom, but I knew she would come back to me. Because after she locked onto me, she couldn't absorb luck from others, and she still owes the system 100 million luck points. There is interest on that. If she can't pay the fixed amount every month, she will have really bad luck. 3. I thought she would come to pester me as soon as class was over, but a whole day passed, and she didn't come to me even once, nor did she say a word to me when someone asked about it. She looked indifferent and said that she didn't lack a best friend, and there were plenty of people who wanted to be friends with her. That haughty attitude clearly showed that she still hadn't woken up from the glory and wealth of her previous life. I didn't respond and just focused on my studies. Now the whole class was sure that we had fallen out. There were some people who liked to watch the excitement and came over to ask me when I would apologize. After all, I was known for having a bad temper but being quick to calm down every time I had a conflict with Lin Yuewei before. I was the one who took the initiative to make up. The rich second generation coaxing the poor girl was the most popular drama they liked to watch. Unfortunately, this time they were destined to be disappointed. After the last class ended, I got up and left the classroom. Our school is a full boarding school. We can't leave the school at night. After a 40-minute break, we still have 2 big self-study sessions. I have to hurry to the cafeteria to eat during this time. I slowly moved with the crowd. Going downstairs, Lin Yuewei strode past me, chatting and laughing with several girls, and she glanced at me from time to time. She exuded an unimaginable childishness all over. Seeing this, my problem of feeling embarrassed for others flared up again. They chattered and entered the cafeteria. I had goosebumps all over and quickened my pace towards the school gate. Just as I was about to walk out of the school gate, the system voice suddenly sounded behind me, and Lin Yuewei suddenly grabbed me. "Jiang Fanqing, where are you going? There are several teachers on duty at the school gate every night after school, in case there are students who sneak out." Her shout drew the attention of all the teachers to me. The director of the teaching affairs office walked up to me with his arms crossed. "Which class are you from?" I shook off Lin Yuewei's grip. "Jiang Fanqing, Class 7, Grade 2 of senior high school." The director of the teaching affairs office confirmed the name on my school uniform, looked at the list in his hand, and stepped aside to let me pass. "Okay, go ahead." I thanked the director of the teaching affairs office and was just about to step forward. Unexpectedly, Lin Yuewei grabbed me back again. "Stop, you can't leave." I stumbled because of her pull. The director of the teaching affairs office saw this and loudly reprimanded us. "What are you doing? What kind of behavior is it to be pulling and tugging at the school gate?" Lin Yuewei's previous calmness was all an act. Now that she saw that I was about to leave the school, she finally got anxious. "Why don't you stop her from leaving the school? Can the top student in the grade do whatever they want?" Upon hearing this, the director of the teaching affairs office explained seriously. "She has applied for day study. She can leave after school." Lin Yuewei's expression changed, and she turned to question me. "What? You applied for day study? When? Why didn't you tell me?" I broke free from her hand and smiled at her flustered expression. "Is it any of your business?" After saying that, I walked out of the school gate without looking back. "Wait a minute, don't go yet, Jiang Fanqing, you can't leave." Lin Yuewei behind me still wanted to rush over and grab me, but she was stopped by the director of the teaching affairs office and several other teachers. "Which class are you from? Instead of going to the self-study session, you're here at the school gate meddling in whether others go home or not. Do you want to sneak out? Go back to your classroom, otherwise, I'll call your parents to come and take you home." Lin Yuewei didn't care about anyone else now. "Jiang Fanqing, stop. If you leave today, don't expect me to forgive you in the future. We were both reborn." Why is it that her brain seems to have been refreshed? I didn't even bother to give her a glance and just went out and took a car home. When I got home, my parents hadn't come back from work yet, and the nanny left after cooking. I had dinner, took a shower, and did my homework alone. When I finished the last exam paper and was about to go to bed, I found that my phone had run out of battery. It was fully charged when I took a taxi. I was puzzled, plugged it into charge and turned it on. Immediately, countless missed calls and messages popped up on my phone. They were all from Lin Yuewei. "Fanqing, answer the phone. Jiang Fanqing, where are you? Call me back when you see this. Come out and pick me up. Why is there no one at your home? Where are you living now? If you don't answer the phone, I'll call the police. Why aren't you answering the phone? Where are you? Answer the phone, answer the phone. I'm telling you to answer the phone. I'm calling the police." "Jiang Fanqing, there's an exam tomorrow. If you have the guts, don't go out." I roughly counted. In the 3 hours from after school until now, Lin Yuewei had sent me no less than 300 messages, both calls and WeChat. All the content was asking where I was and telling me to go find her, later. It seemed that she ran out of the school and went to my home to look for me. She was simply crazy. Fortunately, I had the foresight to move into the new house my mom bought. Otherwise, I would have been driven crazy by this madwoman tonight. I directly blocked and deleted her. After the operation, I found a new group in WeChat with over 999 plus messages. The group was full of my classmates from the same class, and there were also a few from other classes, but Lin Yuewei wasn't in it. What happened? Out of curiosity, I clicked in and scrolled to the top to see a video. In the video, Lin Yuewei was scolding the director of the teaching affairs office at the school gate. The person filming was very close, and the picture was clear. With clear sound, Lin Yuewei was seen standing with one hand on her hip and pointing at the director of the teaching affairs office's nose. Do you know who you're talking to? Even the director of the education bureau treats me with respect. Who the hell are you? I'm warning you, I'm different from others. You can't afford to mess with me. Get out of the way before I lose my patience. Don't make me say it a second time, otherwise, you'll be fired. The onlookers at the school gate were obviously shocked by Lin Yuewei. There were exclamations of fuck in the noisy background sound. The director of the teaching affairs office suppressed his anger and grabbed the cursing Lin Yuewei and walked towards the administrative building. The video ended here. And there were uniformed fuck. That's awesome in the group. Explosive. Is there anyone at the scene? Come out and explain. Lin Yuewei is really awesome. An emoji of an old man on the subway looking at his phone, daring to scold the director of the teaching affairs office. I'd call her the strongest in no one middle school. Damn it. Isn't this the real Long Out Yin? Wait, don't you think her aura is very different? I don't think she's joking. Maybe Lin Yuewei really has some special background. What background could she have? I don't know. Ask your class monitor. Aren't they on good terms now? At Brilliant as Stars, they had a fight. They ignored each other today and have been in a cold war for a whole day. There's something going on. The monitor must know something. There were too many messages in the group. I flipped through and looked at a couple of them and picked a few to reply to. My phone was on mute and I didn't see it. Her affairs have nothing to do with me. Going to sleep. There's an exam tomorrow. Everyone go to sleep quickly. After replying to the messages, I turned my phone to flight mode, covered myself with the quilt, and went to sleep. Tomorrow is the day when I had a fever during the first exam in my previous life. I didn't do well in the exam because of a cold last time. This time, away from Lin Yuewei, I must do well in the exam and get back my first place for the exam. The next day went very smoothly. There was no fever, no falling, no splitting headache, no nosebleed. There were no unlucky accidents at all. Leaving the examination room, I couldn't control the upward curve of my mouth and felt my whole body slightly trembling. Finally, things were back to normal. In my previous life, being unable to take the exam had become my shadow. I was eager to prove myself, but the more anxious I was, the unluckier I became. At that time, Lin Yuewei was always by my side, accompanying me, comforting me, and encouraging me. I was very touched and regarded her as my only close friend, but I didn't know that she was the one who caused my continuous bad luck. At this moment, the culprit should be in the police station being criticized and educated by the police uncle, because she made a ruckus in front of my old house, which had already been emptied all night. That house has one household per floor and there's no problem of disturbing the neighbors. She was banging on the door all night, being very persistent. Jiang Fanqing, come out. I know you're home. Let's talk. I shouldn't have been harsh on you before. I'm apologizing to you. What's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly ignore me? Open the door and make it clear. Is it because of Wang Ziki from class 5? I won't talk to her anymore. Okay, I won't get too close to anyone else except you in the future. I'll only be friends with you. Are you satisfied now? Fanqing, aren't we good sisters? Let me in. Okay, Jiang Fanqing, my patience has limits. If you don't open the door, I'll call the police. Hello, locksmith company. I forgot the password and need to unlock the door. Why can't you open it? How dare you question me, a locksmith? Do you believe that I can make you unable to survive in City A? In the morning, Lin Yuewei still hadn't left. I sent the surveillance video to the property management. The property management, accompanied by security guards, came to verify that Lin Yuewei was not the owner. They decisively chose to call the police. When the police came and asked her to leave immediately, Lin Yuewei refused to leave. During the scuffle, Lin Yuewei even angrily slapped a policeman and boasted that she had connections in the police station. She said that whoever dared to touch her would make their life a living hell. As soon as she said this, the police uncle immediately gave her 3 warnings and a pepper spray treatment. I controlled the surveillance in front of the anti-theft door and sent the scene of her going crazy and being irritable to the group that was newly created yesterday. What on earth happened to her? Besides fuck, all I can say is awesome. Is she crazy? Damn, that's so scary. What kind of perverted behavior is this? Was she this kind of person all along? Monitor, did you kill her whole family? At Brilliant as Stars, this is a surveillance video, right? Where is she? In front of my house. It said that she secretly ran out of the school yesterday, so she went to your home. Damn, that's scary. I thought she was quite gentle before. Why has she become like this now? Scary. Stay away from her in the future. Be careful of getting entangled with her. Without knowing the whole story, don't comment. Damn, who is this? So bold. No matter what the problem is between them, Lin Yue's behavior of trying to unlock someone else's door is illegal. There's nothing wrong with staying away from this kind of person. Yeah. She even dared to assault a police officer. Is she crazy? Today is the exam, and some people haven't come out of the examination room yet. There are only a few people in the group, but the discussion is extremely hot. No matter what was said, everyone realized that they should keep a distance from Lin Yue. Seeing that my goal was achieved, I went out, took a car, and left the school. At this time, Lin Yue came running over panting. We looked at each other through the car window. Oh, she finally realized that she was in the wrong place. The moment she saw me, her pupils suddenly contracted, and uncontrollable anger burst out in her eyes. Jiang Fanqing, Lin Yue hadn't slept all night. Her face was pale, her hair was messy, her eyes were red and swollen, and her eyes were fierce. She looked like she was in an abnormal mental state. She rushed up and violently yanked the door handle, which startled Uncle Lu, our driver who had a background in Sonda. I patted the driver's seat to indicate that he didn't need to worry. Uncle Lu immediately stepped on the gas and drove away. Seeing that the car didn't stop, Lin Yue grabbed the car door and chased after it fiercely. But how could two legs catch up with four wheels? Jiang Fanqing, get out of the car. Where are you going? Come back. Lin Yue chased after the car, screaming at the top of her lungs. Her figure got smaller and smaller. I rolled down the car window and waved at her. She became even more irritable. This hysterical and impotently furious look was really pleasing to the eye. Uncle Lu was still in shock. He drove all the way to the airport at high speed. Surprisingly, he arrived a quarter of an hour early without speeding or breaking any traffic rules. The nanny had already packed her things and was waiting in advance. I took the boarding pass, boarded the plane, and took my seat. The flight attendant reminded us to turn off our phones or put them in flight mode. Touching my phone, which had been vibrating nonstop and was already getting hot, I suddenly felt that it might be a bit too heartless not to say a word, so I held up my plane ticket, took a selfie, and posted it on my moments. I'm emigrating. See you if we're destined to meet again. 5. In fact, I was just representing the school to participate in a competition. The training and the exam would take at most half a month. As long as one made a little inquiry, they could know my whereabouts. However, Lin Yue wasn't a person who focused on her studies in her previous life. She wasn't interested in the competitions organized by the school at all and didn't know any information about the competitions. In this life, she had a dispute with the director of the teaching affairs office again, offended the school leaders in advance, and lost all her good impression in front of the teachers. She had no way to inquire among the classmates, with my intentional or unintentional reminders. A tacit understanding of keeping a respectful distance from her was formed, and she was gradually isolated. So after I suddenly left, Lin Yue completely went crazy. I didn't know exactly how crazy she was because I turned off my phone every day. I only heard from my classmates who participated in the competition together that she saw my moments from someone else. First, she made a big scene in front of the head teacher, blaming the head teacher for giving students leave without permission and threatening to report to the Education Bureau. Then she went to the entrance of my mom's company to make a scene, saying that my family was xenophobic and had the suspicion of embezzlement and absconding with money. Finally, she went to the police station to report me, saying that I had illegally left the country and insisting that the police arrest me and bring me back. The police didn't accept her case. She even brought out the leaders from the provincial department to pressure them and was criticized by the police and driven out again. There were too many absurd things about her. Every night when I returned to the hotel, I would first turn on my phone and look at the gossip on WeChat for a while to relieve my tiredness of the day. Because of her, I combined work and rest during this competition and performed quite well. I should be able to get a good result. Half a month passed in a flash. The competition ended soon, and it was time for me to go back to school. Someone in the group reminded me that Lin Yue somehow got the news. She suddenly stopped causing trouble these 2 days and became very quiet. Moreover, she didn't know by what means she had changed seats with the physics class representative. When I went back, I would be at the same table as her. I said I didn't care. She could sit wherever she wanted. I couldn't control that. However, based on my understanding of Lin Yue, she would definitely play some other dirty tricks, and she must have been holding back a big one. The next day when I returned to school, as soon as I showed up, Lin Yue blocked my way. Just like before, she looked at me pitifully. I'm sorry, Fanqing, I was wrong before, let's make up. She seemed to have lost her memory and forgotten about her previous crazy behavior. Okay, I've apologized now. Hurry up and move back. I haven't eaten well these days when you were away. Look, I've lost weight. They look down on people and dare to exclude me. Now no one in the class talks to me. I only have you. You can't ignore me. I sneered and completely ignored her. I turned around and walked around her towards the teaching building. Lin Yuewei was ignored by me. She controlled her expression and tightly grabbed me. That's enough, Jiang Fanqing. I've already apologized. What else do you want? I forcefully shook her off. I just want to stay away from you. Are you shameless? We've broken up, and you still follow me around and harass me every day. Aren't you cheap? During the morning self-study, there were many students cleaning the playground. When they passed by and saw the two of us, they took out their phones with a gossipy look and sent messages. I don't know which action of theirs stimulated Lin Yuewei. She broke down and started yelling, Jiang Fanqing, you're the cheap one, get it straight. It was you who begged me to be your best friend, not me begging you. I'm giving you a way out now. Don't be ungrateful. I took out my phone and waved it. I'm laughing so hard. A way out. Who was it that called and texted me every day, even after being blocked? You still harassed me with strange numbers. Do you want me to post the text messages where you apologized and begged for forgiveness for everyone to see? Half a month ago, she used these words to mock me. Now it's my turn to mock her. Lin Yuewei had been a CEO for a lifetime. How could she stand this? She immediately put on an expression of not caring at all. Fine, you're amazing. Someday you'll regret it and beg me. Just you wait. With that, she turned around and left, walking into the No. 2 teaching building with a gloomy face all the way. I didn't expect that after not seeing her for half a month, she became even more irritable. I patted the non-existent dust on my body, waved to the others around me, and turned to leave all the way. There were classmates who gossiped with me about Lin Yuewei. When they saw me turn and walk towards the No. 1 teaching building, they all widened their eyes in surprise. Hey, did you go the wrong way? I shook my head. No. I'm going to take the competition route from now on, so I applied to transfer classes. The classmate covered her mouth and laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, there's going to be a good show later. Lin Yuewei has been going crazy looking for you since you left. She finally waited for you to come back, and now you're transferring classes. She'll probably go crazy again when she finds out. What on earth happened between you two? Why does she keep pestering you? Because she wants to absorb my luck. If I said this, no one would believe me. They would definitely think I was the crazy one. I smiled helplessly and didn't answer. The preparatory bell rang. Everyone quickly went upstairs and back to their classrooms. I also entered the new class along with the bell. The new class had a stronger learning atmosphere. Everyone was busy with their own things and wouldn't pay too much attention to others. I simply introduced myself and then randomly found a seat to sit down and started doing exercises. 10 minutes later, my phone started vibrating. It was an unknown number. Where are you? Why aren't you in class yet? I didn't even need to guess the tone. It must have been sent by Lin Yuewei. I turned off my phone, ignored it, and lowered my head to do the exercises. Halfway through the class, Lin Yuewei's shrill screams came from the corridor. Jiang Fanqing. The class was interrupted, and the whole class looked at Lin Yuewei, who burst in suddenly, with a dazed expression. Lin Yuewei pushed open the classroom door and rushed over like crazy to pull my hair. You bitch, what are you showing off for? Do you really think I can't live without you? Transferring classes. Who do you think you are? So what if you're a rich second generation? Big deal. Your first in grade ranking was bought with money. Do you think I don't know? I didn't want to break up with you, but you forced me. I kicked her down. The classmates in the class saw that she was acting crazy and quickly came up to stop the fight. Lin Yuewei was pulled away. She looked at the hair tangled in her hands with a frenzied expression and muttered to herself, It's too late. I couldn't help but laugh, calculating the time. It should be the time to return the system's luck. If she can't pay it back, her own luck will be deducted instead. Lin Yuewei knew best the consequences of losing luck, so she was desperate and wanted to pull my hair. She had two ways to absorb people's luck. The first way was to have physical contact with the target. This way, she could absorb more, but only slowly. The second way was to collect the target's hair to open a remote channel. This way, she could absorb less, but it was fast, and she didn't need to get close to the target in the previous life. In the later stage, Lin Yuewei absorbed other people's luck through the second method. She killed many people and was investigated by the police, but with Lin Yuewei's status at that time, she disdained to spend extra time flattering the target if there were any lives involved. There would always be someone to settle it for her. In this life, Lin Yuewei needed a large amount of luck and didn't have the ability to deal with homicide cases, so she chose the first method. But she didn't expect that she couldn't get close to me. Lin Yuewei's eyes were full of ferocity. She struggled, frantically, to get close to me but was stopped by others. The head teacher ran in panting and came up to drag her, gnashing his teeth. Lin Yuewei, you don't need to attend class anymore. Get out of here right now. Last time, Lin Yuewei scolded the director of the teaching affairs office. She also left the school privately at night and was given a demerit. She made a scene in front of my house, assaulted a police officer, and had a bad attitude, so she was criticized and educated. When I participated in the competition, she skipped classes and reported the school. She hadn't been dealt with yet. Judging from Teacher Wang's words, the school originally wanted to expel her. Now that she still didn't repent and continued to act crazy, she was likely to be expelled, but Lin Yuewei didn't care at all. She just stared at me with gloomy eyes, her face cold. The commotion in the class was too big. Many teachers came to help. When the director of the Political and Educational Affairs office came in and saw that it was her again, he mercilessly dragged the screaming and cursing Lin Yuewei out of the classroom. At noon, when school was over that day, someone came to tell me that Lin Yuewei had been expelled and her family was making trouble at the school. Through the video sent by others in the group, I saw her father and mother, along with their respective elders and children, surrounding and scolding the head teacher on the playground. They said that Lin Yuewei had gone bad at school and the school should be responsible for her future life. They not only demanded huge compensation but also asked the school to recommend Lin Yuewei to Tsinghua University. If the requirements were not met, Lin Yuewei's younger brother and sister should be admitted as special cases, and all the tuition fees from junior high school to high school should be waived. The group was in an uproar. Some people thought that Lin Yuewei's family was daydreaming and her craziness was genetic. Some people thought that Lin Yuewei was pitiful. Her biological parents didn't care about her and instead wanted to use her as a stepping stone to pave the way for their other children. Everyone discussed wildly, but I didn't express any opinion. I packed my school bag and prepared to go home. When passing by the playground, Lin Yuewei's mother saw me and rushed up in one step. Stop, are you the classmate who paid my daughter's tuition? She's been expelled and doesn't need to go to school anymore. Give the tuition to her younger brother. After all, we're all family. It's the same. Her father, who couldn't persuade the head teacher, also came to block me. If you give the tuition to her younger brother, then you have to give the living expenses to her younger sister. Take both children with you when you tutor. Junior high school students are easy to teach. Where did these beggars come from? How shameless. Do they really think I'm a stupid rich second generation? You can't reason with people who are unreasonable and pestering. You have to be more unreasonable and pestering than them. I glared, turned around, and grabbed her parents. Who the hell are you? How dare you make demands on me? Lin Yuewei swindled 200,000 yuan from me. I haven't even asked you for it yet. They didn't believe me at all. I opened the transfer record for them to see. A month ago, before I was reborn, Lin Yuewei borrowed 200,000 yuan from me, saying that it was to test our sisterly relationship. At that time, I transferred the money without hesitation. After the test, she didn't return it. 200,000 yuan wasn't a big deal to me, but when her family saw the transfer amount, their eyes widened. So much money, where is she? Get the money back. I didn't see her just now. She must have run away. Unfilial daughter. I gave birth to her, and she should support me. She hid the money and didn't say anything. She's really an ungrateful wretch from the bottom of her heart. No way, she's still a minor. Her assets should be managed by her parents. Quick, find her immediately. The group of people discussed how to distribute the money as if no one else was around. They suddenly shook off my hand, afraid that I would hear. That was a loan. Whoever borrowed it, you go find them. It has nothing to do with us. As if afraid of being blackmailed, they quickly left the school. I pretended to be persistent and chased out of the school gate. Uncle Lu had been waiting at the gate for a long time and immediately drove the car in front of me. When Lin Yuewei's family saw the luxury car and Uncle Lu's burly figure, they didn't dare to come up and make a scene. They were really bullying the weak and fearing the strong, cowardly, and greedy. I didn't intend to entangle with these people in the first place. I gave them the middle finger, opened the car door, and got in. At this time, a man in gray suddenly rushed up from the side and cut off my braid with scissors. After cutting, he ran away. Uncle Lu was afraid of his accomplices and didn't dare to chase. He immediately called the police. When the police came, they said that the nearby surveillance was broken and didn't capture the person. They had to go back and investigate. I held my phone in front of the police. No need for surveillance. It was him who cut my hair. This person was Lin Yue's neighbor and also a hooligan from the vocational high school next door. In the previous life, he had done many shady things for Lin Yue. I knew him very well. With my clue, the police quickly caught the person. Although his behavior didn't constitute the crime of intentional injury, it still violated the law on Public Security Administration. Punishments: he might face a fine or public security detention. My lawyer, on the grounds that I had suffered mental harm, refused to mediate and said that he would sue in court. That hooligan was still young and inexperienced. As soon as he saw my lawyer team, he immediately confessed Lin Yue. He said that Lin Yue promised him that as long as he cut my hair, she would date him. The hooligan had liked Lin Yue since he was a child and thought that cutting someone's hair wasn't a criminal act. So he agreed. He didn't expect to be caught. Lin Yue was brought to the police station. She firmly denied any involvement. The hooligan cursed, but he couldn't produce any evidence, so he was detained civilly by the police. After the matter was over, Lin Yue raised a smiling face, looked at me with confidence, and slowly raised her wrist. On it was a bracelet woven with hair. The style was strange and special, making people feel uneasy. Is it beautiful? You know what? You won't live for more than 2 days. Originally, you could have lived for 2 more years, but because you always act so arrogant, I'm taking back this chance. Regret it, you. Someone interrupted her delusion. Lin Yue, you good for nothing. Hand over the money. Her parents suddenly rushed into the police station, dragged Lin Yue onto the street, and slapped her in the face. I ended the location sharing and stepped aside to watch the show. Unfilial daughter, you have money but don't support your parents. You don't know how to be grateful at all. You're a heartless good for nothing. I really shouldn't have given birth to you back then. Give me the money, or I'll beat you to death, you dirty-hearted slut. Do you want to embezzle that money alone? That's all for your younger brother. Bullshit, I'm his father. She has my surname. Why should it be given to your son? Yue, you're so stupid. You're a girl. What's the point of going to school if you don't get married early? You can only find someone with poor conditions now. Don't listen to your grandma. Grandma has found you a good one. He's only in his early 30s. There's only one daughter in the family and no son. You should seize this opportunity well. If you marry in, there will be a 100,000 yuan betrothal gift. 7. As soon as Lin Yue saw her parents, her previous arrogance immediately disappeared. She froze on the spot. Her whole expression was dazed, her eyes were dull, and her body couldn't stop shaking, as if she had seen a terrifying demon. She was so torn by her relatives that she couldn't stand steadily. She reached out to me in a panic, opening her mouth as if she wanted to say something. I glanced at her, turned around, and left, ignoring the helplessness in her eyes. In the previous life, when we first met, she was also so helpless. At the beginning of the first year of senior high school, at the school gate, she was dressed in rags, carrying a sack, and was being scolded by her parents, pointing at her nose. They said that she was unwilling to work to earn money to share the burden for her parents, nor was she willing to get married to exchange the betrothal gift money to build a house for her parents. Instead, she was daydreaming about asking her parents for money to go to school. If they didn't agree, she would steal money and run away. She was simply an ungrateful wretch. They wanted to drag Lin Yue back to the village to get married. I saw her being dragged back. Step by step, the light in her eyes, like an extinguished flame, gradually dimmed and became empty and hopeless. I couldn't bear it and felt that I should do something, so I reached out and pulled her. With someone sponsoring, her family finally agreed to let her come back to school, but like leeches, they took all the sponsored money. I had no choice but to support her with my pocket money. At first, she was very grateful to me. Although she was introverted and shy to say thank you, she studied very hard. She only slept 4 hours a day, skipped meals, and did exercises frantically as if she wanted to repay me. She would put the report card on my desk every time she made progress in the exam. I really admired people who worked hard. Unconsciously, I got closer and closer to her. Because of pity, I was also getting better and better to her. If she couldn't do the problems, I would explain them to her. If she had no food to eat, I would bring it to her. If she had no clothes to wear, I would buy the same ones for her as mine. If she had no mobile phone to use, I would buy her the latest model. If she had never traveled far, I would take her on a trip. If she had no other friends, I would bring her into my circle of friends later. She no longer had the shabbiness and timidity she had when we first met. When we went out to play together, people always thought that she was also a wealthy daughter. Slowly, she began to focus on things other than study. I noticed it, but I didn't think there was a problem because I wasn't a person who just studied hard. And I wouldn't force others to just bury their heads in doing exercises and have no other life at all. But her grades were originally not good. even if she worked hard, she could only rank in the middle, lower part of the grade. She might not even be able to get into college. What would she do if she didn't go to college? That family of vampires would definitely come to torment her again. To stimulate her, I said that I could help her for a while, but I couldn't help her for a lifetime. After knowing my attitude, she cried unbelievably for several days. It took me a long time to persuade her to focus on her studies. She didn't know how to study, so I tutored her personally. I asked the teacher to change the dormitory and seats for us and made an agreement to get into the same university in order to make her focus and not be affected by other things. I no longer gave her money for things other than study. She complained a few times, but she didn't dare to ask for more. I thought she could understand my good intentions, but she showed me with her actions that she not only didn't understand but also chose to bite the hand that fed her. With a bloody lesson, I deeply realized what a little kindness breeds gratitude, while excessive kindness breeds resentment. Means this time, I didn't care about her and let her be dragged away by her family, pulling her hair. The disaster that she avoided in the previous life, let her taste it well in this life. When I left the police station and returned home, I took off the messy wig. Looking at my shiny bald head, I couldn't help but sigh. It's really a pity that I can't see her look unlucky when her luck is deducted with my own eyes. 8. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. I really couldn't stand the stuffiness of the wig, so when I went to class with a bald head, ignoring everything outside the window, the competition class exploded. Fanching, what's wrong with you? Is there any special reason? 2. Lazy to wash your hair. Shaving your head is really convenient. Washing your hair in the morning really wastes time. The time saved can be used to do several more problems. I've got it. So this is the reason why your grades are so good. I'm going to shave my head too. Many people came to visit my bald head every day after class. I was a bit uncomfortable at first, but after a few days, it was okay. In school, the most important thing was still grades, even if I was laughed at. In the end, I was still firmly in the first place in the grade. Some people thought that shaving my head reduced my appearance anxiety and allowed me to focus more on my studies. So, a week later, there were several more shiny bald heads in the school. I was really speechless about this. Fortunately, the bald head craze didn't last long. Other rumors gradually spread in the school. It was a rumor about Lin Yuewei. An insider in the group revealed Lin Yuewei was taken back to the village and locked up. She was going to marry a man who was a dozen years older than her. Then, on the wedding day, she accidentally broke her leg. The two families started arguing about Lin Yuewei becoming disabled at the wedding banquet. The man's family didn't want a disabled person, and the woman's family didn't want to return the betrothal gift. The two sides quarreled fiercely and smashed the wedding to pieces. In the end, Lin Yuewei's family was more successful in lying on the ground, crying, shouting, and threatening to commit suicide, and they won the final victory. The man's family was angry and took her home to deliberately torment her, showing no mercy. Even with a broken leg, she still had to do the laundry, cook, and work in the fields every day. Lin Yuewei couldn't stand this suffering. While the old man was drunk, she stole all the money in the house and ran away overnight. She ran back to the city, and then she didn't know where she got the information of several rich second generations. She called and sent WeChat messages to them every day. Someone who knew the parties involved sent over the chat screenshots. Hi, long time no see. Who? You don't know who I am, but I know you. You are the heir of Goyu Group and will marry the daughter of the mayor's family in the future. I know you don't like Chu Yenyu, and I can help you. Who are you? Come to this address to pick me up, and you'll know I'm injured and need a sum of money for treatment. If you help me, I won't treat you badly. When I'm better, I'll set up a company and be your backing. Then your parents won't force you anymore. At this point, she was blocked. Then there was the chat record with another person. Phone Chihan, I'm Lin Yuewei. Who? I've never heard of you. I know you're under house arrest abroad now. As long as you transfer money to this account, I can help you deal with your stepbrother. Where did you find out about this? And how can you help me? Your stepbrother likes me. He'll listen to what I say. Then I'll make him give the company to you. Damn it, where did this crazy person come from? This person also cursed at her before blocking her. The following things were really strange. Goo biting. I'm Lin Yuewei. Ah, you finally added me. There's a crazy person named Lin Yuewei going around lately, only adding rich second generations and acting crazy. I've been waiting for several days. I thought I was kicked out of the rich second generation circle. Alright, let's start the routine. I'm really curious about what you know. Hurry up. I'm in a hurry to take a screenshot. These rich second generations in the group were probably bored and had nothing to do. They tacitly used Lin Yuewei as a pastime. They would chat a few words now and then show the chat screenshots. sharing Lin Yue's grandiose words with everyone. People in the group who saw the chat screenshots started to feel extremely embarrassed, as if they were digging the floor of a villa with their feet. There were constant complaints. And some gossip was mixed in. Since we were classmates, how about pooling some money to get her brain checked? I'm already so embarrassed for her that I've mentally dug out a 3-bedroom and 1-living-room apartment. Do you know, Lin Yue couldn't catch a rich second generation, and it seems that she got together with a hooligan next door. I can testify that this is true. I saw Lin Yue going to a hotel with someone, and the other person was wearing what seemed to be the school uniform of the vocational high school next door. The key is that she was still on crutches. Damn it, what was she thinking? Is that so? She was talking to my uncle's client. How old is your uncle? He's 56, and his client is about the same age. What? I saw it with my own eyes. She was in the party photo my uncle sent. I wasn't sure, so I didn't dare to say anything. Picture JPG, damn it. Just looking at his face, he could be my grandpa. Hey, this man has a bald head. Just like the monitor. Could this be some unique taste substitute plot? Puff, ha 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 ha. The monitor was innocently dragged into this. In the photo, a group of people were in a KTV private room, and both men and women were laughing happily. The man in the middle was estimated to be in his 50s or 60s. He had a bald head, a gold necklace, and his exposed arms were covered with tattoos. He kissed the girl in his arms lewdly, and one hand was even under her skirt. The girl was heavily made up and looked shy. It was, obviously, Lin Yue, who had been expelled for more than a month. Others were shocked by the degradation of the so-called Dragon Out Yin, a powerful and overbearing character, and they were chatting and complaining in the group with laughter. But I looked at the man with the bald head and gold necklace and fell into deep thought. This man was an international fugitive. He was jointly wanted by several countries for murder, robbery, and illegal smuggling. In the previous life, this person kidnapped Lin Yue, but was convinced by the aura of Lin Yue and was willing to submit and serve her. But that was something that happened several years later. He shouldn't be here now unless Lin Yue used some method to contact him in advance. Thinking of the possible danger, I called my father and applied for boarding at school. Then when I went home on weekends, in addition to Uncle Lou, several more muscular bodyguards were added. With such an arrangement, I thought I was safe, but I was still kidnapped. 9. The bald-headed man kidnapped me, euphemistically saying that he was inviting me to his place as a guest. Besides me, many other people were also invited. All the hostages were, without exception, the daughters of wealthy families or the sons of important political figures in the city. On the first day, we were forced to talk to our parents as the robbers demanded. In order not to suffer physical pain, I obediently did as they said. The other girls who were kidnapped with me were all scared out of their wits. When they called their parents, they couldn't even speak clearly and could only cry. The bald-headed man kidnapped us because he wanted to open the city's illegal trading market through coercion. After all, our parents were all influential, powerful, and wealthy people. As long as he could control one of them, the bald-headed man's forces could fully penetrate, and his plan could be carried out smoothly. And it was Lin Yue who provided our information to the bald-headed man. After 3 months, I saw her again in this dilapidated warehouse. She had a high fever and was sitting in a wheelchair, being pushed past me. She looked really pitiful, just like me when I was constantly having bad luck in the previous life, and even more miserable. The pant legs between her legs were empty. Obviously, she had been amputated. I didn't expect that the price of not being able to return the luck to the system would be so high. Besides being surprised, I only felt a sense of secret pleasure. Evil deeds will eventually meet with retribution. She deserved it. She understood the expression on my face. She was full of viciousness and unwillingness, but she didn't do anything because she didn't dare. In this life, Lin Yue relied on providing information and selling her charm to get close to the bald-headed man with the gold necklace. In this strictly hierarchical criminal group, she was the lowest in status. She didn't have the superiority and arrogance in front of the underworld that she had in the previous life at all. We still had some use value. The bald-headed man said that no one could act rashly before he achieved his goal. Lin Yue was afraid of ruining the bald-headed man's important plan, so how dare she not listen? On the second day of being kidnapped, several parents compromised. The bald-headed man kept his promise and released them, and he planned to sell the rest to Myanmar. I was among them when Lin Yue learned of this. She requested to deal with me personally. The bald-headed man took someone into the room and tossed around for a day before agreeing to her request. Lin Yue came to me with injuries all over her body and a distorted expression. She viciously threw a ball of hair at my face. You deceived me so badly, Jiang Fanqing, changing seats, moving house, transferring classes, wearing a wig, let me guess. In fact, you were reborn too, right? And, you know I have a system and that I can absorb your luck, so you deliberately avoided me, haha. I should have guessed it earlier, when you inexplicably changed seats, I should have noticed it, but it's not too late now, you made me so miserable, I must make you taste the pain I've suffered, I'll cut off your hands and feet, turn you into a human pig, and take you with me every day, then you'll never be able to run away again, I'll absorb you bit by bit and then chop you up and feed you to the dogs, humph. Not letting her absorb my luck is considered harming her, her values are completely messed up, she was too close to me. And she smelled bad, it was really disgusting. Stimulated by my disgusted expression, Lin Yuewei gave a sinister smile. What are you pretending to be noble for? Do you think you can escape? I'll make arrangements for you tonight, I'll make sure you can neither live nor die. My hands and feet were tied up with ropes, and I couldn't avoid her restraint. I sighed helplessly. You know what? Villains usually die because they talk too much. What? At this time, the rumbling sound of propellers faintly came from a distance. Then the warehouse door was suddenly broken open, and a group of policemen rushed in. Don't move, you're surrounded, put down your weapons and surrender immediately. The robbers were caught off guard and fled in panic. Some people tried to resist, but they were no match for the absolute force. The bald-headed man was quickly subdued by the police. Lin Yuewei looked at the chaotic situation and took out a dagger with a pale face. It doesn't matter, as long as you're dead, I can still absorb luck from others. She grinned viciously and held up the knife, stabbing towards my chest. At this time, the daughter of a wealthy family who had been crying beside me suddenly broke free from her restraint, took a step forward, and subdued Lin Yuewei. The suspect has been controlled, let's withdraw. After saying this, all the daughters and sons of wealthy families threw off the ropes on their bodies and quickly joined in the process of arresting the criminals. Don't move, police, be honest. Lin Yuewei was pinned down, her face was pressed against the soil on one side, and her eyes were wide open. She struggled and looked at me. You. I walked over and smiled at her. Thanks to you this time, otherwise, the bald-headed man wouldn't have been able to enter the country. The handcuffed bald-headed man passed by. Hearing this, he stared at Lin Yuewei as if looking at a dead person. Lin Yuewei shivered in fear. When she looked at me again, her emotions had collapsed. No, I didn't, you framed me. This shouldn't be like this, I was reborn, so why is this happening? It's all your fault, it's all your fault, why don't you die? No, that's not right, I shouldn't have gotten married, it would have been better if I hadn't. Without the car accident, I wouldn't have died, and I wouldn't owe the system 100 million luck points. I would still be the richest person, obviously so many people loved me. Why did I choose him? I should have married the vice mayor. He liked me the most. No. I should have married Professor Liu. He has no money and no power, and he's the easiest to control. Marrying Chief Wang would also be good. The conditions of President Shui can barely match me. They all loved me. I'm the heartthrob. I'm the group president. I'm Lin Yuewei who can manipulate everything. This isn't true. This isn't true. She started to go crazy, lying on the ground and crying and laughing non-stop. I felt sorry for her. So I squatted down and told her the truth. In the previous life, her husband coaxed her into falling in love with him with sweet words, but in fact, it was for revenge, because Lin Yuewei had an underhanded deal with the bald-headed man and kidnapped the wealthy daughter who was excellent in both character and learning, and it happened to be her husband's first love. Her husband had a crush on his first love since he was a child. He didn't expect that his first love would die strangely before he proposed. He started to investigate secretly. During the process, he found several people who shared the same experience as him. Some of them lost their sisters, some lost their wives, and some lost their daughters. The rest of their lives could only be lived in the pain of losing their loved ones. With the same experience, they helped each other and finally found out about Lin Yuewei. Lin Yuewei was simple-minded, stupid, and arrogant, but somehow she had a large family business and was difficult to shake, so they formulated a careful plan. Therefore, Lin Yuewei's ending had already been written. Whether she got married or not, she couldn't escape death. After hearing this, Lin Yuewei shook her head wildly. It's impossible, you're lying to me, you're just jealous of me, jealous that so many people pursued me. What you said isn't true, ha ha ha, I'm right, aren't I? You're jealous that I had everything, since you couldn't get it, you wanted to destroy it. You just can't stand to see me doing well, right? Yes, that's it. You've always been such a hypocritical and insidious person, Jiang Fanqing. I pity you. You have nothing. You're not as good as me. She said this with a red face and stared straight at me, eagerly waiting for me to say something. I raised my hand to cover my nose and took a step back. You peed your pants. Lin Yuewei was stunned. She looked down at the filth under her and suddenly lost her strength. This time, she was really crazy. Seeing that she was gradually going crazy, I ignored her and turned around and left the scene with the accompanying medical staff. This should be the last time we meet if nothing unexpected happens. She will be sentenced to at least 10 years in prison, but since she didn't return the luck, she couldn't even live for a year. But all of this was what she deserved if she hadn't used the system to absorb other people's luck. None of this would have happened. As the saying goes, those who commit many evils will surely come to their own end, and good and evil will be rewarded according to their deeds, which is the way of heaven. She did so many evil deeds in her previous life, so in this life, she can spend the rest of her life repaying them. Goodbye, Lin Yuewei. Her emotions were completely out of control. She fell to the ground with a blank look in her eyes and kept whimpering. I smiled at her and turned around to leave the scene with the accompanying medical staff. This arrest operation was very successful. Our city cracked a major transnational crime case and brought the main criminal, the bald-headed man, and all his accomplices to justice. In the previous life, he was extremely evil but got away with it. After Lin Yuewei got married, he disappeared without a trace, and no news of him could be found anymore. I watched countless innocent lives being killed with my own eyes, but I was powerless in this life. The evil forces have been completely eradicated, and the stone in my heart has finally fallen. I have a vague feeling that this is the meaning of my rebirth. When I saw the photo of the bald-headed man before, I immediately contacted my father and then sorted out a set of clues for him. Before my father went into business, he was a police officer for 20 years. When he saw this document, his face changed, because this set of clues was as detailed as it could be, and after investigation, all of it was true. If my father didn't know me, he might even suspect that I was the bald-headed man. He asked me where I got it, and I shifted the blame, telling my father that it was collected by Lin Yuewei. This statement couldn't stand scrutiny, but the clues were really there. Compared with the source of the clues, catching the criminal was more important. I also knew the information about those rich second generations that Lin Yuewei knew. After all, I had followed her for a lifetime, so the hostages became police officers, and a tight net was spread throughout the city, ready to catch the criminals in a trap. After the bald-headed man was brought to justice, he was sentenced to death and executed immediately. The other accomplices were dealt with in accordance with the law, with sentences ranging from life imprisonment to death penalty with a reprieve. Lin Yuewei had a mental breakdown. After appraisal, the situation was confirmed to be true, and she was sent to a mental hospital. Later, it was heard that she disappeared again. No one knew where she had gone. Someone saw her parents bowing and scraping as they pushed her into a van. The driver was suspected to be from Southeast Asia. Before leaving, he threw several stacks of money to her parents. Just like that, the news that Lin Yuewei had been trafficked to Myanmar spread quickly. However, this kind of unsubstantiated gossip was forgotten by people within a few days, because the whole competition class was recommended for admission. As soon as I entered the examination room, I would have a fever. As soon as I picked up the exam paper, I would have a headache. Even if I didn't feel uncomfortable, I would get injured and bleed due to bumps and bruises, and couldn't take the exam normally. Everyone knew that we were free. Whenever we had time, we would go to the No.2 teaching building to ask questions. Who had the time to pay attention to other things? I got the recommended admission qualification to the School of Physics at Tsinghua University then. Amidst the praise and congratulations from teachers and classmates, I gave up the recommended admission. People around me didn't understand my choice. They thought that recommended admission meant a stable opportunity for further study, but at the same time as recommended admission, I would lose the right to choose. Although Tsinghua University is good, it doesn't have the major I want to study. Having a second life, I don't want to be chosen anymore. So, the college entrance examination arrived. I rolled up my sleeves, ready to take the college entrance examination in the most perfect state. Without Lin Yuewei and the system, those strange and unlucky things like catching a cold and having a fever, and falling down while walking all left me. Finally, with a total score of 719 points without bonus points, I was admitted to Peking University's Yuanpei College and chose my favorite major. After the college entrance examination, I started a business and registered a company. My parents thought I was just playing around like a child and didn't take it seriously. Unexpectedly, I earned 100 million yuan in just 1 year. They were surprised that I actually had the ability to make a company thrive and thought I was extremely talented, but I don't have any business talent. I just know the emerging industries in the next 10 years and know the hidden big shots who are still starting their businesses at present. That's all. During the summer vacation of my freshman year, the company's net profit doubled. and we went on a team-building trip abroad. After I came back from the cool and comfortable summer resort, I took my assistant to Thailand, which was hot and humid, to do business. When we arrived at the show venue, the boss smiled obsequiously and said that the poor business was due to the fact that fewer and fewer tourists had come to Thailand in the past 2 years. I didn't comment. I pulled back the carpet in the hall and skillfully entered the underground club, but I didn't expect that the